All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Spoken Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 343 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us, whether you are live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing. We want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this time as we have ourselves a fun show for you guys. We have an awesome guest lined up for you guys tonight, a guy from the Kingdom Says podcast, a show that we very much respect and admire over here on the Spoken Podcast side of things. Our guy, Arrowhead Tom, Mr. Thomas Pike. Tommy Pike's going to be here with us tonight. Really excited for him. He's going to be here in less than an hour or so. Going to give us a lot of insight on the draft because we know this is a big draft for us Chiefs fans, for the Chiefs as a whole. They got a lot of things to do this offseason. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, with the draft, free agency, trades, speculation as a whole as to what he expects to see. We're going to get his insight. One of the best, most diligent, and informed guys out there. I very much respect his opinion. Him and I have very much seen things differently so far this offseason. Not even really the offseason technically, but for the Chiefs it is. And him and I have already had some of our discussions off air, obviously. And we're going to voice some of that stuff tonight. I'm going to push back on a few things here and there if we feel the need. But I think overall, Tom and I are going to see some things eye to eye. I think I have faith that that's going to happen. Maybe I convince him. Maybe more than likely he convinces me. We'll find out. We're going to talk about that nevertheless. Really excited to have our guy Tom in here. Like I said, we're going to give you guys our Volume 2 of the NFL playoff predictions. You guys saw how the wild card weekend went. It was chaotic to say the least. A lot of fun. Some great games outside of, ironically, the primetime games, Sunday night, Monday night. The games were awesome. And I'm expecting some fireworks this weekend. Trevor and I are going to give you our predictions as well. But more importantly, and most importantly, guys, we need you guys to get over on the YouTube side of things because we want you to be a part of the show tonight. If you're new here, what we do is we dedicate an entire segment in the middle of the show called Speak It, where we give you guys the opportunity, the platform to take over the show, essentially. Whatever questions, takes, comments, concerns you guys have, put it in the chat now, and we will get to those as soon as we possibly can, and we will give you guys our most authentic and sincere answers, responses, questions, maybe counter questions, whatever we got for you guys, we're going to give that back to you. And the reason I say go to YouTube is because we need you guys to go over there, hit subscribe, hit like, hit notify, all the fun shit that everybody on YouTube tells you to do. But like I said, the comments is where we want you to be. So hit the comment button. If you're more of a person that just wants to sit back, chill, listen, watch the show, totally you're right. Totally cool with that. We're just happy to have you. But if you're somebody that wants to be a part of the show, you want to actually have your name, your voice be heard, that's what it's all about here. We're a community-driven show. We don't want to talk at you. We talk with you. So go ahead and join the party. It's a Friday night. We're kicking back. We're having fun. So join the conversation, and we're going to have ourselves a fun night. Trevor, how the hell are you doing, man?
Doing good, bro. It's finally getting some snow in today, so I always give everybody an update on the weather, how it is out here, because I'm not sure where everybody is watching from, but if my local people here in the city saw the little slight blizzard action we got some today. I work outdoors, so it was not very fun for me today, but yeah, man, good, bro. Ready to talk some football, maybe some draft with our guy Tom. Yeah, man, been a good week. No volleyball games this weekend, so taking a little break off. I'm gonna take Scarlett to go get a new phone, late Christmas present, all the above.
Doing the dad stuff.
Get some pizza, make a day out of it. So yeah, man, other than that, bro, just living life. Life's good. Wish the Chiefs were in the playoffs. That would make life gooder, you know what I'm saying? But
good word.
Yeah, bro, ready to talk some ball, baby.
Well, let's not waste any time, guys. Without further ado, it is time for So we know that this league, just like life, the NFL in that particular, is constantly evolving. Everything is always moving forward. And a lot of times, people get passed up. And we're seeing that in the NFL in live time, in particular at the head coaching position. we have seen within a week, roughly week and a half time, we've seen two of the longest tenured head coaches in the NFL get the axe. Now we know Mike Tomlin obviously didn't get fired, but there was a parting of ways. Either way, he is no longer the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and John Harbaugh is no longer the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I'm fully anticipating that both these men are going to be highly successful in whatever they decide to do after this, and it sounds like John Harbaugh will be taking the New York Giants job. I'm really excited to see how that's going to work out. That looks like a good team on the rise potentially, and John Harbaugh is a good coach. I don't know if I would consider him a great coach, but he's a good coach, a respectable coach, a guy that I think guys will rally around, and I expect good things for the Giants moving forward. Mike Tomlin, I think CBS CBS TV crew has his name written all over it. Matt Ryan's transitioning to the Falcons front office. I think that's a perfect spot for Mike Tomlin. CBS usually hosts AFC games. Mike Tomlin knows the AFC in and out. I think it won't be one hell of a job for at least a year when his contract is then up with the Steelers because he only has 1 year left on it.
I'd really like to see him with Fox and Bradshaw.
I would love that too. I just don't. I just think that
just for the irony.
Yeah, that would be hilarious because we know that Bradshaw, he doesn't exactly like him. It'd be funny if he joined James Harrison's podcast too because James Harrison's not a fan either. Yeah. But either way, we now know those guys have moved on. Longest tenured head coaches in the NFL. That now leaves the new longest tenured head coach in the NFL, and that is the one, the only Chiefs head coach, Andy Reid. And let me first put this out here first. And I'm not speaking for Trevor. I'm not speaking for anybody else. That's the rule that I have here. I only speak for myself when I say things. I am still very much 100% on board with Andy Reid being the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that there has been doubt set in because of this season and the way it went and how things have looked so bad offensively for the better part of 3 years. And that does fall on Andy Reid primarily because we know this is Andy Reid's offense. So now with the season gone the way it's gone in 2025, every single one of us is looking at the same thing, maybe from different lenses, different viewpoints, different angles, what have you. But we all are looking at the same thing. What changes are the Chiefs going to bring this offseason going into 2026? And that all starts with Andy Reid, not Brett Veach, not even Clark Hunt. This starts with Andy Reid, the guy that runs football for this organization. And in my opinion, I put this out here this week, and I'm going to speak it verbatim because I don't want any words to be misconstrued because I want everybody to hear where I stand on this. And this got a ton of reaction on social media as to be expected. And honestly, that's what I wanted. But I said these exact words. Andy Reid has to look around and see that there's no coincidence that Bill Belichick, John Harbaugh, and Mike Tomlin all got let go by their longtime employers because they refused to make the necessary changes in order to evolve with the NFL. And although I do not expect Clark Hunt to move off of Andy Reid anytime soon, nor should he, the time is now for Andy to show this franchise and fan base that he's going to wrap up his legacy, that he's not going to wrap up his legacy as the Chiefs head coach with a series of seasons so disappointing that both the franchise and fan base are ready to see him go, like the Patriots did with Belichick, like the Steelers did with Tomlin, and like the Ravens did with Harbaugh. You have to adjust, adapt, evolve, or get left behind. That is how this league works, and it works that way quickly. One way Andy Reid has to evolve is how he views the offensive coordinator position. Who should be the next to fill it and what their actual duties should be. I've told you guys on this show 100 times, Trevor and I have talked about this many times. The way I see the offensive coordinator position in Kansas City is different than almost any other team in the NFL. Outside of Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, Sean McVay in LA, a few places like that. The offensive coordinator, the OC, stands for offensive conduit. You are the guy that is the mediator between the head coach and the quarterback. You're not the one that calls the plays. You're the one that works with the quarterback and head coach throughout the week to game plan, to scheme, and to do the work. But you're not the one that's calling the plays. That's how it's been in Kansas City for the longest time. We know this is Andy Reid's offense. But I think that time has to come to an end. This is where the evolution of Andy Reid has to come into play. This is the detail of said evolution. Andy Reid has been calling plays for this team since he's been here. That has to change. I'm not saying that his scheme can't still work, but there needs to not only be tweaks to it, and I'm talking about real tweaks to it, but there needs to be a fresh set of eyes to it that can also add their own flavor, their own style to that. That's why you're hearing so many fans talk about Mike McDaniel coming to Kansas City as the Chiefs offense coordinator, because they like his run scheme that he inherited from the Shanahans. That's why people like the Cliff Kingsbury potential, because not only his relationship with Patrick Mahomes from the Texas Tech days, but also because of the fact that you have seen that man adapt several times over with his time in Arizona and then his time in Washington, D.C. He's been able to be a chameleon type of OC. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to the progression and the evolution of Andy Reid and his offense. So I say all that to say this. No, the Chiefs should not bring back Eric Bieniemy as their OC. That would be moving backwards. And backwards cannot be the direction the Chiefs go while attempting to move back into Super Bowl contention. This move screams play it safe. And playing it safe for the Chiefs got them result that 2025 got them. There's a reason why EB's coaching career has gone downward since leaving Kansas City after the 2022 season. New ideas, especially offensively, are a must for this franchise. Eric Bieniemy and what he would bring back to this offense is the opposite of that. Folks have been telling me all week that having EB back would improve the run game. Here's where the Chiefs' offense ranked in rushing with EB as their OC. 2018, 16th overall. 2019, 23rd overall. 2020, 16th overall. 2021, 16th overall. 2022, 20th overall. Eric Bieniemy, though, would bring back the discipline to the Chiefs' offense. He'd keep guys accountable. They'd have integrity again. This is where the Chiefs ranked in offensive penalties with EB as their offensive coordinator. In 2018, they finished first in offensive penalties. 2019, they finished 18th. Not bad. 2020, fourth worst. 2021, eighth worst. And then in 2022, great season, 28th worst offensive penalty team. So actually, they were really good at not having offensive penalties this final season. But I truly believe that a good number of fans, and I hate to do this to my fellow Chiefs fans, but just the amount of rhetoric and just the same cliches I'm seeing being used over and over again when it comes to this conversation, I have to say this out loud. I truly don't believe that a good number of Chiefs fans, I don't think they really understand what an offensive coordinator's job is, or a coordinator in general. Because in a general sense, NFL teams don't hire a coordinator to be a hard ass or to keep players accountable. Coordinators are hired to call plays and or scheme and game plan. That is their job. These are grown men we're talking about. We're not talking about Pop Warner football here, kids. If they have integrity and accountability issues, they need to go get a mentor. Expecting a coordinator to provide that type of service is nonsensical. Now, if they have that relationship with players, great. But that's not what they're paid to do. Andy Reid has been famous. We've heard Travis Kelce say this time and time again. When he was a rookie, Andy Reid didn't talk to him. Because Andy Reid lets his position coaches do those things. That's what they're called upon to do. But then when you start to gain some credibility in this league and on this team and respect, reverence, that's when you start to get in the graces of Andy Reid. And nobody's ever pushed back on that. So why should we put that on an offensive coordinator? Doesn't add up, does it? If Eric Bieniemy, and this is the biggest question I want to ask everybody here, Trevor, you're included in this one. If Eric Bieniemy was such a coveted offensive mind, why did the Chiefs let him go? Why didn't they extend him? Or at least offer an extension? Because as I remember, they didn't even offer him one. If Eric Bieniemy was such a coveted offensive mind, why isn't he currently an offensive coordinator in the NFL? Because as I recall, when he left, he, if I'm not mistaken, went to, it was either one or the other first. He went to UCLA, I think, as their offensive coordinator, got fired midseason, went to the Commanders, got fired the next season because they had a whole revamp of their coaching staff, and has since then been a position coach again, running backs coach, in fact, with the Chicago Bears. Look, I'm going to make a point clear here as well, because maybe some of you guys haven't been around this whole time since Trevor and I, because we've been doing the show since 2019, February of 2019. And we both have been avid fans and defenders of Eric Bieniemy. But these are the questions that no one wants to answer for some reason. These are we allowed, when he went away, we're like, man, we hope for the best. We hope he gets a head coaching job. We have this on video. We've said that on the show, that we thought Eric Bieniemy deserved a shot at being a head coach. But as the years have gone on, that hasn't happened. In fact, it's gone the opposite direction. There's a reason for that. There are reasons for that. And one of those reasons is what my dear friend and former Chiefs running back, Harvey Williams, told Shaggy Shane and I just a couple of weeks ago on the 65 Toss Power Talk Show. Let's go ahead and play that video, Trevor.
I'm just in this, with my sources and everything that's I've been around Eric, a couple of times, and guys that I know that played for him. I know guys that coached with him, and they just say, basically just, I don't know. I never really hung out him on a consistent basis to say he's an asshole, and and that's not good, man. But I know, a lot of people say he's a great coach. He's just not a players just don't get along with him, and that's what I've been hearing. If they brought him back, I think that would be cool. That'd probably be a boost. I mean, it can't be no worse than what it is, man. And you talking about bringing it back to Kansas City?
Yeah, I'm just. Do you think? Would you be interested in bringing him back yourself?
Me personally, I've been there, done that.
I mean, that's not my words. That's from a former player who knows EB to a certain degree and knows people that knows EB to a certain degree. That's him letting you guys know. That's not my opinion. I just sat there and let my guy cook on our show, because Harvey always brings realness to our show, and I always appreciate his authenticity. Yeah. And we're going to have him on this show soon enough, but that checks out. Does it not, Trevor?
Yeah, our guy Micah Hayes in the chat says they wanted EB to get a head coaching job in the NFL or college. That's why they let him walk. Listen, I think anybody, when you allow yourself to use some logic, we all believe that was a soft firing. Let's be very real. I think there was a lot of tension in that locker room. I think they needed a new voice. They wanted to let it down gently. Listen, dude, I'm one of those people that I would protest against EB being back here. I'm good. There's certain regimes you just need to keep in the past. And I think this is a true appeal to familiarity. I think a lot of fans there's good memories tied to him being a part of what's going on. I don't think the impact of EB being here was as big as people are really alluding that he was. Nothing against him. He served his purpose, and the opposite of that, if you will, which is why I believe he was let go. Because if he was as great as he was, there would be no reason to let that man walk out these doors. It wasn't like people were begging for him. Let's be honest. That's why I believe that was a soft firing. There was no rumblings about him getting a job other than the Chiefs releasing him and letting him go entertain those things. Let's just be very honest with ourselves. I just don't think. I think we get attached to things that are familiar. I feel like that's like a fail-safe type of just to. And I think there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance there to assume that what he was a part of. I just don't think he moved the needle as much as people really think he did, in my personal opinion. Because honestly, there's a lot of negative things. No one's talking about those. There was a lot of negative things floating around out there. I know the revisionist history. It's easy to look back and just see everything with rose-colored glasses. But in the moment, there was a lot of things going on that he was being kind of pointed at, and there was truth to him and even Patrick Mahomes having riffs. And I know some people think that that'll get the best out of Pat, blah blah blah. But let's be honest. We don't right now, especially. We don't need someone to come in here and ruffle feathers. We don't need a hard ass type guy coming here and try to ruffle feathers. We got enough shit going on this offseason, let alone the last couple off seasons that we've endured these last couple seasons. So I'm with you. I just don't. I think the only reason anybody is talking about Eric Bieniemy is because he's been attached to his dynasty. Other than that, Eric, no offense. I'm not attacking the man. I'm just being real, zooming out entirely, looking at this from a broad spectrum. Zooming all the way out. No one else in the league cares about Eric Bieniemy other than the Chiefs' kingdom right now, because he was a part of the early stages of this dynastic run. Other than that, no one would care. Let's just be very honest. Like no one's dying to have this man on their coaching staffs at all. And we did release it. We did give him a chance to go seek other things. And he's honestly hasn't really lived up to what the whatever hype there was that was created around him. He just hasn't been that. And I have no interest. I want someone who moves a needle in Kansas City. Eric Bieniemy does not move the needle. Honestly, if he moves the needle, it's, for me, the way I've zoomed out, looked at it, it would be in more of a negative way. This would be a step back, in my opinion. Again, not attacking the man. Eric Bieniemy, I'm sure, is a good dude. I'm sure he has good relationships with these guys in these locker rooms still, but I'm talking about football here. I want to have a nice, new, fresh, bright mind of offense that can bring something different. I don't need familiarity anymore. I think we need to change.
And to that point about the familiarity aspect, I mean, imagine the thought of Eric Bieniemy coming back to this offense. Everybody would just assume that there's those built-in relationships, but here's the problem. The majority of this offense was not here when Eric Bieniemy was here. Think about it. I mean, Josh Simmons, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Royals, the next running back that's going to be here. Kareem Hunt wasn't here. You know what I mean? Kareem Hunt was here earlier on, but Eric Bieniemy wasn't the OC when he got, I guess he was in 2018. But it's been years and years, but I'm saying separate between them. If Eric was to come back, he's going to walk in with a certain level of entitlement as well because he's coming back to a job he's familiarized with. Yeah. So it's not going to be like this new thing where he's got to, create an environment. He knows who he is when he walks into Kansas City, and that's not going to hit the same with a bunch of new faces and new people. Does that make sense?
And we got another comment from our guy Micah Hayes. He says, Reed is only going to hire a OC that's a yes man for his offense. McDaniel and Little LaFleur in LA ain't getting hired in KC. You might be right. But what we're discussing right now is what we want to see. We don't want to see that, right? We don't want a yes man. I know bringing back Kafka, I mean, that might be a decent move because I do think Kafka has a really good relationship with Patrick Mahomes. He was a QB's coach rather than an OC. I think there might be a new, fresh thing because he didn't get like the chance to really call plays technically. You know what I mean? So that might be something, But I understand that might be the right narrative. That might be true as far as what's probably going to happen in reality. That's not what we're discussing here. I think what is likely to happen and what us as fans want to happen and what we should push for and accept is change. And I think that's what we're trying to discuss here. I think, that is Micah, that is probably the true, thing that's probably going to happen in reality. He's probably going to find somebody, maybe a Stefanski on the good end of the yes man list. You know what I mean? But even just maybe that would be a good change. But I think what we're pushing for on this show and the narrative we're trying to push here is we want something different, man. Someone that could not necessarily challenge Andy Reid. No one's going to come in here and truly challenge Andy Reid for, knowledge and like X's and O's type stuff, but someone who can bring a different voice, someone who can bring some different technique, maybe to add to what is established here.
And that's the thing is that I need people to understand this, that the issue that we are having here, I started my entire take by basing it off of Andy Reid being at a crossroads right now in his career.
Yeah.
Because we are seeing in live time, in real time, Andy Reid having his worst season as the Chiefs head coach by a mile. Patrick Mahomes going down with a real injury that's going to take him months to get. Yes, and subsequent and simultaneously, Patrick Mahomes is entering the second act of his career where he's no longer as athletically gifted. He's going to have to rely more on his arm and staying in the pocket and things. So there's going to be a lot of changes regardless. So the reason I'm saying this is the perfect timing for Andy Reid to start relinquishing some duties here is because of the fact that this league moves so quickly. I mean, guys, just a year ago, at this very day, we're sitting here talking about a Chiefs team going to their 7th consecutive AFC championship. Yeah. And I know that was the biggest reason why the Chiefs have stayed with what's worked because it was working. But now that it doesn't work anymore, they have to make changes. And with that comes Andy Reid. Because if Andy Reid doesn't make changes, no change is going to matter. Whatever, like firing Todd Pinkston and these other like position coaches is not going to mean shit if Andy Reid doesn't make changes above that. Those are just little things here and there that nobody really cares about if we're being honest. No one's going to sit here and say, hey, they fired Todd Pinkston. If they don't hire an upgrade, they're not winning a Super Bowl again. No, that's not what's going to happen. But if Andy Reid doesn't make actual changes to the way he approaches this job, the Chiefs will never win another Super Bowl again. That's the reality we're talking about here because we saw it fail with a good enough roster to at least get to the postseason, and they didn't get close. That's the problem we're seeing. And like I said, the league changes so quickly. Literally, the Chiefs went from 15-2, winning all these close games, going to the third consecutive Super Bowl, to being the 9th overall pick in the draft.
All the motivation in the world, too, in this season. We had every reason to be motivated. One, we just came off of a Super Bowl loss to a team that we've met twice, right? So we split with a great team in the Eagles. So it was motivation enough to go and right that wrong. And then obviously this might have been Travis Kelce's last season. So this is a very much an emotional, motivated season. Granted, football is a grueling sport, and it's hard to go back and back to these long seasons, longer than most with our postseason every single year. I agree with you, man. This team was definitely built to make the playoffs, especially in the AFC as wide open as it was. And the Colts falling out of the race there at the end too. We had a great opportunity to kind of take advantage of that and seize that. But yeah, man, this could be the most pivotal, and it probably will be the most pivotal based on the decisions that are made. Pivotal season, off season in this dynastic run that we probably will ever have again, especially with us, falling out of the postseason. It is odd though. I know we're on the discussion of the OC situation, so to dive into that even further, like it is odd that we've had no interviews
that we know of. Yeah,
that we know of. Yeah, I know. I don't know if teams can really keep that entirely on the low. It's really hard to kind of keep that on the low. Most reporters and stuff will at least get some rumblings. There's been like nothing really. Other than like guys that
we found out almost a year later that Andy Reid almost got shot in his own office. So
that's like a legal matter.
I'm just saying is a very of all the teams out there, the Chiefs are one of the more secretive teams.
For sure, rightfully so. I mean, yeah, for sure.
Look, the type of OC the Chiefs need to hire is an OC that's going to have head coaching opportunities in the near future. Hiring someone we all know is going to be their OC for a long period of time tells us one thing. They don't have any actual say in the office, and no other franchise views them as a good enough coach to take their talents to the next level. And here's the biggest point I want to drive home here. We're not going to talk about this for much longer. But with Andy Reid's age to also consider, he's 67 years old, okay? Yeah. Second oldest coach currently. He's going to be the oldest next year because Pete Carroll is gone. With Andy Reid's age to also consider, it's also beneficial to have their potential head coach in waiting in Kansas City, learning what it takes to be a winning head coach in this league. Literally none of that describes Eric Bieniemy. That's the point I'm trying to drive home here. And you know who agrees with me on this, Trevor? Patrick Mahomes. Why don't we go ahead and play? He met with the press conference or the media this just yesterday, Thursday, and talked about what he would like to see out of the next Chiefs offensive coordinator.
Obviously, there's names out there, but I think with especially how many vacancies there is at the head coaching job, you kind of have to let that all play out to see how you kind of build the staff. But I don't know, Coach Reid, if Coach Nagy is able to get another job, a head coaching job, that he'll have a good plan of who he wants to bring in. But for me, I just want someone that loves football, that cares about football, that wants to give everything they can to win, to hold people accountable, and then to bring new ideas every single day. I think that's something that we have to continue to do if you want to continue to be great in this league. Is you have to continue to evolve and get better and better, and that's something that we will try to do here. And I want to get back to that winning culture of being accountable to each other and going out there and playing great football every single day, practice or game.
Do you guys catch that the last portion of that statement that Patrick Mahomes made when he said that he wants someone that is going to evolve? The word evolve was literally in Patrick Mahomes doesn't just say words like that for no reason, guys. Patrick Mahomes understands these things. And I'm not going to speak for Patrick Mahomes per se, but he spoke for himself there. So I'm just simply reacting to what he said. And what he just said in that is, I want fresh ideas. I want someone who's motivated to win. I want someone who's going to come in here. Accountability obviously does matter, but I think what he's saying is he wants someone who's going to keep schematic accountability, a guy who's going to game plan with accountability, so who's going to come in here and have his job together. That sounds to me like Patrick Mahomes wants an OC that's actually going to orchestrate an offense, a guy that actually knows what he's doing, a guy that actually is going to come in here with fresh ideas, new ideas, that's willing to evolve. Ask yourself that simple question. Does that sound like Eric Bieniemy? It doesn't. And that's, again, Trevor said it himself, and I'll say it again. We're not knocking on Eric Bieniemy. This is not a Eric Bieniemy hate fest. Yeah. We're contextualizing the job, and if he fits the requirements. He does not. And if he did, he wouldn't have gone anywhere. And if he did, because he was good enough to go somewhere else, he would have already gotten a job and elevated beyond what the Chiefs had offered him. That's the point we're trying to make here, guys. Because he hasn't, to me, bringing him back only goes backwards, and that's the last thing the Chiefs need to do because they already went backwards in 2025. They don't need another season of going backwards, because if that happens, then we're gonna have conversations about Andy Reid, and I'm not ready to do that. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, knowing that he is one of those coaches that's been able to zig while everyone else is zagging. He's always been able to stay ahead of the current trends. He's always been able to do things to stay ahead of what the NFL is doing. I'm hoping and I'm anticipating that Andy Reid will do that. I'm going to have faith here that he's not going to go backwards and hire with familiarity, that he's going to finally change the things that most fans don't believe he'll ever change. I gotta believe that Andy Reid's going to do that. If he doesn't, we're going to start having different conversations, because like I've said, and I will put this on record. If they go back with familiarity, I can't confidently tell you guys that this current regime with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is going to continue to win Super Bowls, or at least even get back to them. Because like I said, this league is ever changing, ever moving, ever evolving. Well, yeah, if you continue to go with the familiarity,
it doesn't convince me that they're willing to, get better.
Right.
This doesn't convince me that they're willing to move forward and try to change things. I know change is uncomfortable, but going backwards, that's not something we can do right now, man.
Yep.
Truly.
Now, I also want to bring up this because we're going to have our guy, Arrowhead Tom, in about 25, 30 minutes on the show. So I want to get to this point because this became a big-time topic of conversation for Chiefs fans on the interwebs. There's a new fan favorite out there when it comes to who the Chiefs should draft at the 9th overall pick. As you know, everybody, the big topic, the big trend out there was the Chiefs need to draft Notre Dame's running back Jeremiah Love. Well, something's getting in the way of love, boys and girls, because it sounds to me like the new fan favorite, the new flavor of the month is now Ohio State's safety, Mr. Caleb Downs. As you guys are all aware, this guy is an absolute stud. Caleb Downs is an absolute talent, and I fully anticipate that he's going to have a very solid NFL career. That doesn't mean the Chiefs should take him at 9. Look, I realize that us Chiefs fans are not accustomed to the Chiefs picking this early in the draft, but we have to understand two very, very important things here. One, the Chiefs' goal with picking at 9 is to draft and develop a building block player for the next 8 to 10 years. Number two, the Chiefs don't view defensive backs as building block players. I don't know how many times I've had to explain this on the show, but I will again. Look at how the Chiefs have handled the DB room as a whole in the Brett Veach era. Since 2018, the Chiefs have drafted 15 defensive backs. Only one of those 15 was a first-round pick, and 0 of them have been paid to this point. 0. And with the way things look and feel regarding Trent McDuffie's future in Kansas City, it's pretty obvious that he will be continuing his NFL career with another franchise in 2026, as I've been trying to tell you guys for almost 2 years now. This doesn't even include the fact that Veach has added multiple veteran safeties via free agency during that span with Tyrann Mathieu and Justin Reed, Mike Edwards, you name it. And once Tyrann Mathieu and Justin Reed's 3-year contracts were up, they were gone. In other words, the Chiefs do not view defensive backs as building blocks, but rather temporary fixes. And despite my petition for the Chiefs to make drastic changes in their team building mentality this offseason, this particular mentality is something I still fully support. And it's due to one very simple reason. It still works. And there's no reason for us to believe that it won't continue to work. Where Brett Veach has to focus his energy when it comes to drafting that building block player is on the defensive line, and I don't even know how this is a debate. which ironically is an area that Veach himself hasn't had nearly the success of landing top tier players both in the draft and in free agency. This could be Veach's one real opportunity to land a top tier edge rusher. So if and when a potential building block prospect is there to take at 9, Brett Veach cannot hesitate in doing so. And I know the common theme amongst most fan bases are and it's not even just Chiefs fan base. It's this cliche that I am so sick of hearing, and it is, you got to take the best player available. Taking the best player available at number 9 should not be the Chiefs' approach. You want to know the reason why? Patrick Mahomes. In 2017, Patrick Mahomes was the 52nd ranked prospect in the draft, according to ESPN.com. Yet the Chiefs traded up to the number 10 overall pick, thanks again, by the way, Bills, and drafted him. Now, we all know that if they redrafted that class, there is no question that Patrick Mahomes goes number 1. But the point remains, he was nowhere near a top 10 prospect. That still didn't stop a franchise like the Chiefs, who, by the way, did not take a quarterback in the first round in over 30 years previous to this, and still had a proven veteran quarterback in Alex Smith. They still took the risk. So was Mahomes the best player available based on what we knew at the time? Or was he what the Chiefs needed moving forward? I think we all now know that answer. You go after need, not the best player available. What are your thoughts on this, Trevor? Do you sign up to the idea of maybe taking Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Love still, or are you saying no? We have to stay focused on what is the task at hand, and it is upgrading that pass rush, getting that blue chip prospect. Where are you at on this, man?
I mean, I think me and you both know we don't even talk about this that much off air. We usually save a lot of that for, to spew it all out on air here. But yeah, man, me and you are in the same mind frame here as far as how we draft and how we would like to build teams, and how honestly the success has been sustained here in Kansas City and how we've done that so far. A lot of people were torn on the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick. I hated it. Because I just don't think it's smart anymore in the modern era to draft running backs that early. Most of those guys end up on bad teams, and they stay bad teams because you just don't build around those kinds of players until they get drafted or traded to another team later on that's trying to make a run. Saquon Barkley of last year, things like that. So I think you build these. I don't value drafting or taking the best player available that's value drafting for the later rounds,
right?
You know what I mean? So that. You draft for need and who's the best at the position that you need the most on the top in the first 2 rounds, in my opinion. You go after those guys in those first 2 rounds, whether trading up, trading back. We've seen Beats do both. You take shots. You're not going to hit every one, of course, but the percentage of hitting on guys of especially like we talked about this ad nauseum. If you've broken it down to the nth degree on the show about the hit rates of defensive ends, defensive linemen, offensive linemen. Receivers in the 2nd round, 3rd round, the positions that have hit the most in those specific rounds. The most guys you want to take shots on, obviously teams that need quarterback, obviously 1st round is where you get most of those guys that stand out. Very rarely do you have a Brock Purdy situation happen. It's an outlier. Tom Brady, obviously, things like that. Usually those guys are hanging on the lowest hanging fruit in the 1st round there. And then defensive ends, defensive linemen typically come second to my mind. Star receivers, of course, as well. But those guys, like you said, Devontae Adams, guys like that are generational talents, have come in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, where I stand, how I build my teams, value, you start thinking about value in the 3rd, 4th extended rounds. That's where value comes into play. Oh, this guy's fallen? That's a value. It's not necessarily a need. We probably need this position more, but this guy is such a value. He's higher on my board as far as my rankings. Boom. It's anybody who plays fantasy is very similar to that. That's exactly how I draft fantasy-wise. That's how a smart drafter drafts. You draft the guys that are your stars, no matter the position later on, the guys that have fallen as far as talent goes, and then the top 2 rounds, depending on your league rules or whatever, you take the guys that are the most impactful players that you think is going to be the biggest need to build your team around. Those are quarterback. We had that locked up. Obviously, that's checked. So what's next? Offensive lineman, we're good there. Defensive lineman is second or third for me, right? So I think that's the most glaring need, and that's obviously the third pillar, in my opinion, how you build teams. So going after a guy like Bain, like you said, like if we go out and get a guy like that, I'll be ecstatic, right? So going after a running back, going after a receiver, going after, whatever, a lot of talking about the people at different positions. I don't think this is even a thought. In my opinion, where I'm at, I mean, I'm locked in. Like if we don't go defensive lineman with this 9th pick, whether we trade up or trade down, maybe we move, who knows what we do. But if we're set in stone, which I fully expect us to draft at the 9th spot, if we don't go defensive lineman or edge rush, I'm going to be furious. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's where we should be as fans.
Yeah.
I think that's where we should be, and I think that's how we need to move forward. Because, like, we talked about on the show, man, Chris Jones is not getting any older. He's already huffing and puffing, have to take several plays off, and he's getting older. He's a big guy. That's not a sustainable thing to do at his size and age that he's at now. So, we need help, man. We need help on the defensive line. You give Spags the proper guys that we know what he can do. So I would double dip, in my opinion. If in this first 3 picks, I think we should go 2 defensive linemen. That's where I'm at. But depending how the board falls, of course. But in the top 10 picks, man, you got to go. You got to take a shot on defensive lineman. That's where I'm at. For sure.
Yeah, and then I looked at it today because I keep getting the same responses that, well, one, there's not going to be edge rush when the Chiefs get their 9th overall pick. There's gonna be guys take, and there's not going to be a guy good enough to take there. Let me attack that first one real quick. So I went and looked at the teams ahead of the Chiefs in the first round and their biggest needs according to ESPN. I cross-referenced.
To interrupt you,
go ahead.
That kind of mindset in the first round is dumb because you're already thinking value.
Yeah.
You don't think about value in the first round.
Right.
You go get the guy that fills the biggest need that you have, that has the opportunity to be a needle mover for that major position of need. Think about, there's not going to be this guy. This guy might be falling. Who knows what position's going to be falling at this point. It's a top 10 pick of the NFL draft, dude. You go get the guy that fills the need, that has maybe the best potential at that position of need to go get. Value comes later.
Well, yeah,
then you start plucking guys.
Because to your point, what if we're talking about BPA, best player available?
Right.
What if the best player available at number 9 is a quarterback?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like value drafting comes in the later rounds.
Right.
When guys are falling. First round, you just go get your guy.
Yes.
Period. And if he's not there, get the second best guy.
And other people's boards, you might go, hey, man, we didn't have him as high as the Chiefs do. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about Trent McDuffie in particular.
Right.
The Chiefs did not think he was going to be that far down the board. They had him as a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And when he fell in the 20s, like, we have to trade up to get this dude. We had no idea he was going to fall this far.
And when we're acting like going into like that kind of rhetoric too, you're going into acting like everyone has the same position of need. There's maybe 6 of the 8 teams ahead of you don't need an edge rusher. They need another quarterback, or they need a receiver because maybe it's like the Panthers. They need another tight end or something. They're going to go get the best tight end in the draft to really boost that offense because that defense is already good. There's other teams that aren't as good that have different needs.
And most teams that are in the top 10 are teams that are there almost on a perennial basis.
Right.
So they're always looking.
Raiders, who are they going to go?
They're taking stabs. Yes, exactly.
We already know that's one down.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
8 more picks.
Because I cross-referenced it from several different websites, ESPN, CBS, NFL Draft Buzz, plenty of other places. And these are the biggest needs for each of these teams ahead of the Chiefs. So the Raiders, quarterback. Jets, quarterback. Cardinals, probably quarterback if Kyler Murray gets moved off. If not, offensive tackle. Titans, wide receiver. Giants, offensive tackle. Browns, quarterback unless they keep Shador. If not, offensive tackle. Commanders, edge. Saints, wide receiver. I named one edge rusher. Now, I'm not saying that because of this, that's how it's going to go. The point I'm trying to make is what you just said, is that every team has different positions of value for their team, like moving forward. Like, we got to get a guy at this position. So, yes, there could be 2 to 3 teams that take edge rush before the Chiefs. There might be 0.
Right.
That's the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that the Chiefs I think more than likely will have a golden opportunity to get one of these guys. The other part that I want to attack, Trevor, is the other thought of when people say there's not going to be a guy there that's going to be worth that pick. An edge rusher, that guy's not going to be good enough. You know what's so funny is that just this season, the Packers gave up multiple first-round picks to acquire Micah Parsons.
Yep.
They proceeded to go 9-3-1 in games where he started and finished. After tearing his ACL, the Packers went 0-5 and lost in the wild card round. Micah Parsons was not only a first-round pick, he was the 12th overall pick. In other words, there were 11 teams that clearly did not think Micah Parsons was worth a first-round pick. There were 11 teams that passed on a guy that right now, outside of his injury, has been a generational talent and one of the best edge rushers in the entire NFL.
There's example after example, man.
There might, and look, I will clarify this.
Shots on these guys.
Yes, I will clarify this, guys. There might not be a Micah Parsons at 9th overall.
Most likely not.
But there could be.
Or give me an 80% of Micah Parsons type player.
We never know who and what these players are until they are given that chance. Again, guys, we saw the Chiefs in 2017 trade up 17 spots and take a quarterback that all the experts were telling us was a project, was a gunslinging turnover machine, a guy that played in the Big 12 that never faced good defenses, a guy that would never amount to anything in this league. Guys, I have the receipts. I can still show you. Several different draft experts were giving the Chiefs a C-, D+ grade on that draft pick. How's that worked out for the Chiefs? How'd that go? And that was the greatest risk this franchise has ever taken, by far, for a multitude of reasons. Once they did that, it changed everything, not for just this franchise, but the way the NFL operates. Like, teams across the league have been rebuilding and retooling their franchises on how to beat one team and one quarterback. And it's that same guy. So my point in all this is saying the Chiefs need to have that same approach on how to get that dude on the edge. Because as you just said a minute ago, it is one of the true most valuable positions on a team. Not cornerback, not linebacker, not safety, not running back. We're talking about edge rush. Quarterback, left tackle, edge rush. 3 most important positions in the NFL. Chiefs got quarterback down, hopefully, and more than likely got left tackle down with Josh Simmons. That leaves one last piece, guys. They do this. They get this right because they got a lot of other work to do. Like, they're going to have a lot of spots to fill, especially on the defensive side, which actually helps our point. Yeah. That with the defense, you're looking at, guys, more than likely, especially if the Chiefs trade Trent McDuffie, you're looking at 6 to 8 spots on the starting defense being new players. That is over half the defense, guys. Think about that. Like Chris Jones, Nick Bolton.
Yeah. And what's made
the Chiefs, what I'm saying?
Like what's made the Chiefs
Karlaftis?
It's staying 2 steps ahead, a step ahead of these spots need to be filled. We know, we've talked about it before on the show. Chris Jones, obviously everyone knows he's getting older. You know, he's going to be gone probably in a couple more seasons. He's probably got a couple left in him. And then he's going to be gone too. So now, that's going to be a massive void, right? Unless we attack now, start to establish a guy that can maybe be, I'm not saying we're going to draft someone at his position technically, but someone who can be dominant in another way on the defensive line in another way. Maybe more. It's Chris Jones, players like him, Dexter, Lawrence, guys that are incredible and like nose tackles those guys don't grow on trees. He's more of a unicorn type player.
Yep.
We're not going to find the next Chris Jones right now. It's just not going to happen. But getting someone who can, be a top tier edge rusher, something like that, establish pressure in other ways. We got to take shots on these guys. I mean, and in my opinion, taking shots on other positions in the first round just doesn't make any sense to me. Especially, if like we talked about the Rashee Rice situation, if that was to become a thing again, I think it's starting to cool off a little more. Whatever. And we really knew we needed to go get a receiver, maybe you might be able to convince me. But even then, I still feel like I'd rather go defensive line, even if Rashee got cut.
Right.
I knew we had to replace him. I do think there's guys in free agency, not a lot, but we can make moves. I think we can fill that void easier than filling the massive void that we were going to have, not only this coming season, but the next couple seasons to come after that, especially with Chris Jones being gone here in the next couple years. We got to really start thinking about that and making proactive moves, man.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the biggest thing I want to drive home too about all this is because of the fact that if you look at the playoff structure right now, so I'm trying to find the tweet that I put out there a few days ago because it's very telling because I know there's a lot of people out there that still want to see the Chiefs take a running back. There's still people out there that think that Jeremiah Love is the guy to go after and that, this is the way to go. This is the way, that the Chiefs need to build their team moving forward. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but it's pretty profound what we're looking at from a team building aspect because There's a lot of guys out there right now that are second-round picks and beyond that are running backs for teams that are still in the playoffs. I broke this down a little bit. I think there's the graphic still there, Trev, if we have it still, of all the second-round running backs. Is that on there still or no?
Let's see.
I don't know if it's on there or not still.
First-round RBs, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and throw that on the screen real quick.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, and that doesn't even include yeah, I think did I put Jonathan Taylor on there?
Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, second round, Derrick Henry, second round, Devon Achane, third round, Breece Hall, second round, Javonte Williams, second round, Kyron Williams, fifth round, on the best team of football probably left in the league. Rico Dowdle, undrafted free agent. DeAndre Swift, second round. Tony Pollard, fourth round. Travion Henderson, second round. Chase Brown, fifth round. Kenneth Walker, second round pick.
Yeah, remaining running backs in the postseason right now, what round they were drafted. So Christian McCaffrey, first round pick. We all know maybe still the best running back in football, maybe. But outside of that, James Cook, second round, Kenneth Walker, second round, DeAndre Swift, second round, Kyron Williams, fifth round, Travion Henderson, second round, R.J. Harvey, second round, Woody Marks, fourth round. Remaining notable starting pass rushers in the postseason, what round they were drafted in. Will Anderson, first round, Jared Verse, first round, Joey Bosa, first round, Gregory Rousseau, first round, Montez Sweat, first round, Nick Benito, second round, Daniil Hunter, third round, Byron Young, third round. So I just named off nine running backs, right? 9 running backs. 1 was a first-round pick. I named off 9 pass rushers. 6 of them were first-round picks. I'm not making this stuff up here, guys. Like, this is how the NFL works. I'm not saying that there aren't guys that are justifiable first-round picks that happen to be running back. I'm not saying that.
I feel like it's so obvious, bro. Anybody who consumes enough football is like, man, they drafted that running back. This guy was an absolute game changer. He's the reason they're here.
Right.
How often do you ever see that? You know what I mean? But if you talk about the elite edge rushers, guys like Aaron Donald, guys like, granted, Aaron Donald didn't win till later in his career, and that was kind of his walk-off thing, but still, he was a massive reason to why they won that. He was probably the biggest reason they won that. As great as Stafford is, that was a terrible offensive game.
Who made the play of the game?
That's what I'm saying. Aaron Donald was the dude in that game. So like, bro, I mean, it is what it is, man. Like, there's very rarely have we, granted, maybe outside of like the early 80s, when like running backs were like the thing, and that was like the offense for the most part. There wasn't nearly as much of a passing league at the time, but in the modern era of football, dude, it's like you build solid defenses, protect your elite quarterback, and draft elite quarterbacks, win as much as you can while they're on that rookie contract, and then figure everything out after the rookie contract's up at the quarterback, after you pay him, so on and so forth. This is why the league has tried their best to mimic. Granted, Russell Wilson was probably like the pre-Mahomes situation where he kind of did that. He got his ring, and he was still under that rookie contract. But the Chiefs had done that and more, so the league is really trying to mimic that. And I think it's the right formula to build teams. And now that you have Pat Mahomes under this massive contract, for the years to come as well, the best thing to do is protect him, build defensive lines on the other side of the ball, because that's out of his control. He can only do so much on his end. And then, figure everything else. Everything else is chess pieces at that point. You know what I mean? Everything else is pawns.
I'm going to steal this from Carrington Harrison, and I don't know if you guys know this, but we're like totally BFFs now. He brought up a great point on his show this week. Who do you guys think's the best running back in the NFL? Like, just think of that running back right now. Some will say Bijan Robinson. Some will say Christian McCaffrey. Some will say Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, Derrick Henry still, obviously. All those names are going to be totally fair to have that discussion about being the best running back in the NFL. Which of those guys are you trading the 9th overall pick for?
Right, man.
That's the point we're trying to make here, guys, is that even if Jeremiah Love, for instance, was to turn into one of those guys, is that really worth trading the 9th overall pick for? But if I was to ask you guys, who's the best edge rusher in the NFL right now? You'd say Myles Garrett. You'd say Aiden Hutchinson, Will Anderson, guys like that, right?
Easy.
I would not hesitate to draft or trade that pick for one of those guys. Now, Myles Garrett, obviously, you have to think about it because he's got a heavy contract. He's 30. But
still,
other guys that is named, Will Anderson, 23 years old, Aiden Hutchinson, 23, 24 years old, without question, without a moment's hesitation, would we make that trade? Because we all know deep down what the actual position value of these positions is. This is why the Chiefs paid Karlaftis this offseason and didn't pay a running back and didn't pay a cornerback. You know why that is? Because we all know that even if George Karlaftis isn't a great player, he plays a position of absolute need. He plays a position of real value. You have to pay those guys. Now, he got a mid-level market deal It wasn't like he made Myles Garrett money, and if he did, that would have been ridiculous. But he made the money of a Gregory Rousseau, which is the same tier that George Karlaftis is at. Get you 5 to 10 sacks a season. Not a great player, just a solid guy that's there week in and week out. A good building block type veteran. A guy that you can just have around. That's what George Karlaftis is. And we even heard reports today about him. I guess he's been suffering from some injuries that we didn't even know about. So that kind of adds to the equation as to why he had kind of a down year. Not making excuses for George. He needed to play better. Yeah. I expect him to play better moving forward, but that the point remains is that the Chiefs are, in my opinion, are going about this the right way. They are building the team in the right way of how they value certain positions and how they've been intentional about that. I mean, like I said, guys, when you have 15 defensive backs that you've drafted since 2018 and didn't pay a single one, there's a built-in mentality of how you go about it, and that has worked to this point. That's why I'm on board with that. But the league-wide, we know how you build defenses. We know how you build offenses. The Chiefs have done it right on the offensive side. Now it's their turn and opportunity to really make this a silver lining by saying, yeah, it really sucked that what happened in 2025 obviously was not the goal we had in mind. It's the opposite of that, in fact. But we can turn this bitch around into our favor and say, you know what, it sucks that it happened this way, but we made the most out of it by capitalizing on the early pick that we got. And speaking of capitalizing, we're about to capitalize on a conversation that I've been waiting for all damn week. He is a co-host of the Kingdom Says podcast. He's one of the most knowledgeable and respected dudes out there. He doesn't put himself out there like I do, but who the hell does? I'm just a, sycophant here at this point. Shit starter's correct. He's not, but he slings that shit. It's called the knowledge. It's called the understanding. It's called the enlightenment. And tonight we are going to be enlightened by the one and only. Give it up for the motherfucking Thomas. What up, Tommy?
Oh, damn, I don't know if I can live up to that introduction.
Bruce Buff,
we're supposed to set the bar low, man. That way we can only, pleasantly surprise and not disappoint.
I like to climax early, so that's just the way I do things. You know what I mean? And you were telling me the other day the inches matter, so.
Yeah, listen, but that's the same strategy, man. You set the bar low so you can only leave them pleasantly surprised and not disappointed. You can't, if you go in way up here, it's rough.
Thomas, it is so good to have you, buddy. It's been 2 days.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It has been.
How the hell are you doing, buddy?
You know what? Somebody was talking to me this week, and they're like, what do you think about they said, I've adopted the Bears for my playoff team. I was like, playoffs? Who cares about the playoffs? We've got a draft to talk about. There is no secondary team. There is no playoff team. We take the shifter and we go into draft mode. What are you talking about? So and I love the draft. I've loved the draft, even when the Chiefs are still playing. My co-host Kyle and Garrett always give me crap about it. I'm digging in to next year's guys while we're on day 2 of this year's draft. So, that's just how it goes. So,
absolutely, man. Well, I don't know if you heard the beginning of our show, but yeah, I'm keeping strong to the theme that this is going to be a very pivotal, and I think it goes without saying, but I think it is the most pivotal offseason of Andy Reid's career, possibly ever, but more importantly, in his time with the Chiefs. And the reason I say that is because obviously the season went the way it did, and we know that Andy has done things so specifically and so intentionally the way he's done it because it's worked. And nobody will ever bat an eye to that because, you're talking about 7 consecutive AFC championships, 5 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl wins. No one's going to argue with the way he's done things. But because things have gone the way they've done and because the offseason is going to be so different than previous off seasons with Patrick Mahomes' injury, and there's going to be a complete a retooling of the roster. They don't have as many picks they normally do in the draft at this time. I think this is the perfect opportunity for Andy Reid to relinquish a couple things because I think he needs to start viewing his job as more of an overseer type head coach and allow his coordinators on both sides of the ball to really run things. So I start there with you, Tom, and then we're going to talk plenty about the draft, but I want to start here when it comes to the nucleus that's going to continue to lead this team moving forward. I don't think Andy Reid's going anywhere, obviously, but we know that the offensive coordinator position is going to mean a lot, at least in the eyes of the fan base, coming into this next season because I think a lot of us are pushing towards the point of Andy needs to let this next offensive coordinator call plays. But in my opinion, the only way that happens is if he goes out there and gets somebody that's not from his tree, not from his tutelage, not as a former understudy. And I'm speaking in specifics about Eric Bieniemy, about Mike Kafka. They did their job here in Kansas City, but it's time to go get a fresh voice, new eyes, to form Andy Reid's scheme into something that will combat the ever-evolving NFL that surrounds the Chiefs. How do you see this going this offseason? Because I think we're going to find out in the next few weeks as to who the next OC is going to be for the Chiefs. Who are you anticipating that's going to be, and how much say do you think they're going to have when it comes to being the Chiefs offensive coordinator?
Oh, man, that's a tricky question. Who do I anticipate versus who I would like to see?
Well,
Very
give
different.
Give us both.
So who do I anticipate? I feel like the boring answer is Mike Kafka, which I think I'm less upset with that decision than I think some other people would be. I really like what Mike did in New York. I really like, when we talk about getting the most out of Scout is back here. That's my dog and my cat, both of them.
Hey.
Yeah. When we talk about getting the most out of an empty barrel, like New York, the Giants' offense was gross. Especially they lose their wide receiver one kid out of LSU, whose name I'm blanking on. You get a rookie quarterback. You've got the corpse of Russell Wilson hanging out. All of that stuff. I would be more okay with that. I would grow hair just to pull it back out if we bring back Bieniemy. That's how I feel about that. So I anticipate it being. I'm very much. I was listening a little bit. Kind of like it's that crossroads moment. It's the have we learned? Are we adapting? Are we evolving? Or are we going to try to run it back again? And I think the Chiefs ended up in this position because they just tried to run it back one too many times. Even from a roster standpoint, Hollywood Brown and Charles Vinhue and Mike Dana and some other guys, Mike Pinnell, no disrespect to Big Mike Pinnell, but please don't tell him I was talking shit because he will eat me. But Derek Nottie, it's like sometimes you got to change the formula. The NFL is highly competitive. It changes frequently. Andy has always generally, at least in the offensive side, been ahead of that. So as far as who I'd like to see, I think he'll end up as a head coach. I would love to get Kevin Stefanski in. I just think he is. If you talk about, and again to one of your points of like Andy Reid's not a spring chicken. So if you can get that somebody who comes in and is kind of the heir apparent to Andy Reid and can kind of start, doing that, I think that's awesome. And a guy like Stefanski would intrigue me. I know his time in Cleveland was, at least on paper, not the most glorious thing. But when you look at what he got saddled with in that situation and a lot of the things that he has done in the NFL, there's a lot of other names that I would be pretty excited about. I'll throw another one out, but I just don't hear talked about a lot. Thomas Brown, the running back coach from the Patriots. He's, I think, 39. He's been around for a minute. He was the interim head coach for Chicago last year when they got rid of their staff. He's been an OC. He's worked under McVay. He's worked with Frank Reich. He's worked. Obviously, he's in New England, and there's McDaniels and all them there. So he's an interesting name to me as far as a younger guy who I just think has a wealth of experience and would hopefully bring some of that, again, that the former running back himself. So kind of that same idea of got to get back to some of these basics. So I'm intrigued to see how it goes. I'm hoping that moving on from your wide receiver coach and your running back coach, I think it's interesting that they made hey, these people were fired versus, their parting ways. I think that language kind of matters. I'm picking up on some breadcrumbs there to say, hey, maybe there is hope that we're learning, versus I'll use the example of, Matt Nagy and even Eric Bieniemy. And he doesn't really fire a lot of people. He lets a lot of contracts expire. So I think that's maybe a little bit of a tell to say, hey, we know we need to make some changes, across the board. So I am hopeful.
Well, and here's the thing, Tom, because I agree with everything you just said there. I think that makes complete sense. And then we see, though, that the Chiefs, according to reports, and again, we don't know for certain, but it is definitely looking like Dave Toub's going to keep his job. And I'm not going to lie to you, Tom, that doesn't make sense. I understand from the because like you said that Andy is loyal and he doesn't fire a lot of people, but dude, the special teams has been straight ass cheeks. I mean, unless I'm wrong here, you know football better than I do, but I'm not seeing a unit out there that's actually contributing to victories. And I know this season as a whole sucked for the team, but it was blatantly obvious that there was a real problem on special teams almost on a weekly basis where, they finally have a good return where they're on the 45-yard line and there's some holding in the backfield that puts them back on the 15. I mean, that happened several times this season, man. And to me, that does reflect on the coaching. And for me, I think Dave Toub has been one hell of an assistant coach, one hell of a special teams coach for the majority of his career, especially in his tenure here with the Chiefs. But I think it's time, man. Like, I think that we see this at the head coaching level with Tomlin and Harbaugh, where they run their course, all the way down to, these guys that, position coaches, where they just run their course. I think Dave Toub has run his course. Am I wrong here?
I would not disagree with you. I think that it is, because you think about it, Dave Toub came to Kansas City with Andy Reid in 2013. He might be the longest tenured, staff member that we have in that building. I think that's I don't like it. I can live with it giving him another year out of, similar to how, we said, hey, we're not going to oust Andy after one bad year. And I think Toub's stuff has been longer than 1 year, in terms of where we've seen that decline. This year was especially bad and especially painful at times. There were just so many moments where it felt like, that unit just could not. You just kind of got used to it. It was just, you just expected that there to be a flag, and I think Harrison Butker hasn't adjusted at times well. I think, Matt Araiza, I think, not that we really want to be evaluating our punter too heavily, but, I think he did better this year. I think he showed a little bit more nuance in his punts, but man, I agree with you that there's a lot of frustration. I will say, one of the things you'll hear me say a lot as we get into these conversations is context matters. And with the way this season unfolded and a lot of the churning over of the bottom of the roster throughout the season, those guys are a lot of times our guys on special teams who are calling those or, committing those penalties. Although I think there were a handful of guys this year that were the mainstays that really, it just felt like we didn't address it, right? Like if you're, if Josh Williams has got 2, 3, 4 hold calls, in a span of a few games, like there's other bodies out there. There's plenty of guys who are hungry to get on the field and who you may want to try out. Some of that is tricky because you don't have full say over your unit as a special teams guy. You have to consider another great example is Christian Fulton when he was active and playing some special teams. I know he got penalized a handful of times, and it's like, well, I'm sure, Spags wanted him active in case they needed a corner, but I'm sure at the same time, Toub probably wanted somebody else on that special teams unit. So it's a tricky one to manage in that sense, but I agree that it's and just like with players, it's better to be early than to be late with these types of things. But I think that's a tough one. I think it would be more of a, we'll let that one expire, or, we'll see if Dave wants to hang it up, just because there's a lot of respect and a lot of time there. So I'm in agreement with you. That would surprise me if that came out that he was getting fired.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of roster moves they're going to have. I think this roster is going to look a lot different next season, particularly on the defensive side, because I think the offensive line outside of Jawan Taylor's pretty locked up. Jalen Moore probably takes that right tackle position. But for the most part, the offense is going to be fairly similar. Probably get a free agent running back, maybe even one in the draft. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But Tom, I think this is going to be a really interesting offseason because I think the Chiefs are going to have to also make some pretty uncomfortable moves with current players for one particular reason, because they don't have the draft capital that I think they absolutely have to have if they're planning on contending in 2026. I think the Chiefs need to move off Trent McDuffie. I think they need to trade him. I've been saying this now for 16 months, and I think a lot of people are finally coming on board with that. I want to get your thoughts on that, but I also want to get your thoughts on a couple other uncomfortable moves, because I think that Drew Tranquill being 31 years old and would save the Chiefs $6 million if they cut him. I think that $6 million is more valuable to the Chiefs moving forward than a 31-year-old linebacker. I love Drew. I appreciate what he's done, but I don't think linebacker in totality is this ultimately valuable position. I think the Chiefs can replace it at least by, an adequate level. I'm not saying that they're going to just go get another Drew Tranquill, but I don't think that losing Drew Tranquill is going to be an end-all, be-all of whether the Chiefs are contenders next season or not. So that's why I say that. Outside of Karlaftis, Bolton, and Jones, they might have 6 to 8 different starting players on this defense next season, and I think that's actually a good thing because it keeps your defense young, cheap, athletic, all the things that Brett Veach likes to build his defense that particular way. But is there, outside of like the obvious of Patrick Mahomes restructuring his deal, Creed Humphrey restructuring his deal, because they're going to need that money with the $34 million that they're over the cap going into next season, what are some other ideas or moves that you might anticipate to see happen on this roster before the draft happens?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, Mahomes restructuring is the big one. Jawan Taylor getting cut. There might be a 10% chance because with Jawan him getting cut, they still take on some dead cap. They might look at him and go, "Hey, man, you can do another year here and kind of prove it, and we'll pay you a lot less, or you can test the market." That's a conversation they have. I would imagine I would put that at less than 10% of him staying. But they at least have that kind of leverage piece to go, "Hey man, you haven't looked awesome. Do you want a chance to prove it?" Just to have another body there, but I think they're poised to move on. Mike Dana is another one who I think contract wise, and just you look at what he's got and what he is capable, what he's produced, just not there. And I love Mike Dana. He's had some great moments on this team. Great story, 5th round pick out of Michigan, has really carved a rollout. But yeah, it just seems like it's passed him by. He just doesn't seem the same after his injuries. I think the point you bring up about McDuffie is interesting. So it's McDuffie and Jones are kind of like the two pieces that I am curious to see how they will handle, because I think there is a world where so I'm with you in the sense that you probably look to move off of McDuffie. And it has nothing to do with his play, but Sauce Gardner just got paid. Corners are getting paid, man. You look at the way the salary cap is, the way this team's built, you can't pay McDuffie $30 million a year. You probably can't pay him $25 million a year. Unless you structure that deal so that money doesn't hit until Chris Jones is coming off the books. That's really the only way you can do that, if you choose to do that. You will never get an argument from me in terms of the, "Hey, we need to get more picks" conversation, because I'm about that. But I struggle with committing that much money to McDuffie long term. Really good player. I think what you can get for him on the market is it might be. You talk about like the different faces and stuff, coming and going. Like if you could either give me a Trent McDuffie extension, or you can give me a couple of picks and let me use that money to keep a guy like Jalen Watson and maybe a guy like Leo Chenal. I'm happier with that than I am keeping McDuffie. So some of it's, you mentioned Drew Tranquill. I think some of it is taking that money for these big contracts that you already have and kind of trying to find ways to shift that around to pay your younger guys. Like they did this last year with the Joe Thuney trade and Trey Smith. Essentially what they said is, okay, Thuney's getting older. We're going to trade him. That frees up some money on the books. We can throw that at Trey. So I would love it if they did something similar where they said, okay, Drew, we're going to let you go. We're going to take your money, hand it over to Leo, and try to keep him in the building. So there's going to be so much change. And the other thing I will, because I know we'll talk draft stuff too, they've got to be players in free agency this year. It's not an option. Even if you got more picks, this draft class is pretty weak. And we talk about, people needing to change, all that stuff. I'm looking at Brett Veach, and I think, we talk about Andy, this being an important offseason for Andy. I think this is maybe as important of an offseason as Brett Veach has had. He had a phenomenal 2022 draft class. 6 starting caliber players out of that class, and since then, he's drafted about the same number of starters in every draft since. And I was still early on some of those guys, but he has to hit in free agency. He has to hit on the draft. This team needs to be retooled. Right now they're paying for the sins of some of their misses, both in free agency and in the draft. So yeah, I mean, I don't even remember I could go on a whole tangent. I don't even remember what your original question was. I'm just going, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. If like you said, if there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many starters or even role players, right? So that big nickel, it's going to be very interesting. This team's going to look very different come opening day, week 1.
Yeah, and I've always been a guy that since the 2022 draft that has been very strong on the get Brett Veach as many picks as possible, because he has proven when you get him 10-plus picks, he can turn that around and pretty much rebuild your roster from within that draft class. I'm not saying he can do that every time, because every draft class is different to that respect, but to me has built in, he's given him he's earned the right, just like Andy Reid has, in my opinion, to get the benefit of the doubt that they can do that again, that they can adjust. 2020, you lose in the Super Bowl the way you do against that, great front 7 of the Buccaneers. Your offensive line's depleted. You turn around, you go get Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. You reloaded your offensive line. We've seen in 2022, they capitalized on having 12 picks, trade up, you get Trey McDuffie, get George Karlaftis, Isaiah Pacheco, Najee Johnson, Jalen Watson, the list goes on. What I'm seeing in this draft is I want to see the Chiefs get as close to 10 picks as possible. I think personally, if you were to ask me how the Chiefs go about it, I think they trade Trent McDuffie. I think they can get a late first for him and maybe a mid-round, like a late third or early fourth for Trent McDuffie, because to your point, the rest of the league outside of the Chiefs and maybe a couple other teams strongly value cornerback. You've seen that just this last year with Sauce Gardner. The Jets got 2 first-round picks for him. Now, Sauce is better than Trent. He plays on the outside more than Trent. He's more of a physically gifted player than Trent. But Trent is a 2-time All-Pro, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and both those factors play a factor when it comes to free agency, when it comes to trades, any of that stuff. So you're right. The Chiefs will not pay Trent McDuffie that, and Trent's going to get paid that because Deron Bland, who's nowhere near the player, is making $22.5 million a year. So that's why the market's going to be set the way it is. So I agree with you there. I think that the Chiefs maybe trade Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a late first, maybe the 155th overall pick they currently have. I would be happy with that because that gets the Chiefs from 6 to 8 picks. That's closer to 10. I'll gladly take that. Now, when it comes to the draft, though, Tom, this is the meat and potatoes of why we have you here tonight, man. We really do appreciate you taking the time here, man, because this is going to be a very interesting draft, to say the least, man, because I think that the fan base is really, I think, falling for some traps here, because there's a fascination with 2 particular players that fans are now starting to clamor for. We already know that fans have been clamoring for over a month now for Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. Absolute stud running back. Looks like he could be the next Bijan Robinson. Looks like he has a ton of promise. That would be insane to me if the Chiefs went that direction for a multitude of reasons. For one, teams that go running back that early are teams that usually are not contending for titles. They're not. They don't have a roster that's built and ready to go for that direction. If you look at the majority of running backs that were drafted that early around that time, they either never won anything with their franchise and are still really good, or are guys that had to get traded to go elsewhere to finally start winning. That's usually how that goes. Also, Tom, the Chiefs don't run the ball enough to justify that type of move. If you were to take Jeremiah Love, your offensive mentality has to change. Otherwise, taking a guy in the top 10 like that makes no sense at all. You have to justify it by having heavy amounts of usage out of that player, especially during his rookie deal. So It's not happening. I'm just letting Chiefs fans know now that's not happening. Second, and I know I'm ranting here, but I got to get your thoughts on both these players in particular. Safety out of Ohio State, Caleb Downs. Look, dude, same rule applies, same principle applies when it comes to Jeremiah Love. He's going to be a stud. I think this dude's going to be a really good NFL player. It would also be insane if the Chiefs went that direction for the same reasons. You don't look when it comes to what the Chiefs need to do in this draft, it is about getting a building block player for the next 8 to 10 years. The Chiefs have drafted 15 defensive backs in the draft since Brett Veach has been their GM, and they paid 0 of them. To me, in Kansas City, they're not going to build their defense around a safety. That's not how it goes over the last 7 to 10 years, man. And I don't think that's going to change. I don't think they're just going to change their mentality on how they roster build. So, again, I know that Caleb would be an awesome player in this defense, but to me, that is not the right approach to drafting the guy that you're trying to build on either side of the ball. Do you agree with me on both these guys, or do you see it a little differently?
I don't want to split the fence, but I'll split the fence a little bit. I understand where you're coming from. I don't think, with the context, I don't think Jeremiah Love would be a bad pick. There's context to that. I'm a little less. I love Caleb Downs as a player. He's somebody I need to get a little bit more into, just because he's one of those guys. Like, he's so good, I didn't anticipate the Chiefs being able to pick him. Right? Like, that's just. I was like, he's going to be a top 15 pick, and the Chiefs don't pick in the top 15 because they have a guy named Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. So I think. I mentioned earlier this draft class is kind of weak. So it's a record low in terms of underclassmen declaring. And there's always talent, right? It's talent and scheme and personality. There's a lot of things that you kind of work through. And with this news, this week, Dante Moore, the quarterback out of Oregon, is going back. It's likely only one quarterback goes in the top 10 picks, and he's probably going number 1 overall. And to your point, I think you said this before I got on here, the premier position in the NFL, offensive tackle, defensive end, quarterback. Well, one of those positions, there's not another quarterback unless Ty Simpson, has some explicit photos of an owner who's picking ahead of us. He's not going in the top 10. That's just not, maybe he does. But so then you start looking at that. There's not a lot of, teams are going to look and they're going to go, oh, yeah, we want Ruben Bain. We're going to want, Arvell Reese and all these guys. It's possible you get to 9 and the best, option in that context is Jeremiah Love. And that's a tough position to be in, but that is a reality. Now, you could then talk about, well, what about, we look at a trade down. Well, you got to have 2 to tango. And like I said, there's not a lot of people clamoring to get into the top part of this draft because there is a lot of unknown. There's a lot of guys who, are somewhat older or have some question marks. And then we can talk about wide receivers. While my cat comes to hang out, we talk about wide receivers. Even some of those guys, I think that's kind of the next position that teams look at in that top 10. It's hard to find guys that you go, man, that's going to be good value. As far as the Jeremiah Love thing, I'm going to say two pieces of that. I completely agree. If you're a team that's rebuilding and your team sucks and you haven't sniffed a championship in a decade, then you probably shouldn't take a running back in the top 10. If you are the Kansas City Chiefs and you have your all-world quarterback coming off a significant knee injury, and you just spent the last year watching him put the whole team on his back and run around and lead his team in rushing in multiple games, and you probably recognize that you might need to help somebody shoulder the load a little bit. And if you're looking at your team and going, you know what? I've got 3 big dudes on the interior of my offensive line, and we should be able to move people, and we should be able to run this offense. That's one of the things that, if it's Jeremiah Love, if it's Kenneth Walker, if it's Breece Hall, I don't care who it is, we should be running the ball. And I'm not trying to sound like the old grouchy man, but you look at this offensive line, that's just been such a component missing. I think Jeremiah Love is as close to a sure thing as you can get in this draft. I do think he's a dynamic weapon in the passing game, screen game, even using him out of the backfield, crossers, all that stuff. That's why I say I could live with that pick. And of course, that's contingent on what else we do in free agency. I think what Brett Veach likes to do a lot of times is hedge his bets a little bit. He kind of goes in and he gets enough players where he feels comfortable, where he could field a roster without the draft, and then he can pick kind of the best players at that position of need. To give you the example, you mentioned the Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey draft class. They brought in guys before. They brought in Kyle Long and some other offensive linemen, even before the draft, and then obviously Trey Smith fell and all that stuff, and that worked out really well for them. I would anticipate us seeing him, again, being active in free agency to cover some of those bases, to bring in a defensive tackle, to bring in a defensive end who's not named Charles Omenihu, to bring in some guys to just raise the floor and give you a little bit of that, because it's going to be tough to know, if those quality players are going to be there at any point in the draft. So I think for me, the two things that I like, and Brett Veach has to hit, you have to hit. The two things is they've got to contribute and they've got to be 3-down players. We cannot, you cannot spend a draft pick on a guy who is only going to be, a run-stuffing nose tackle or somebody who's you're going to rotate in and out. The wide receiver situation, I know hopefully that'll change with coaching, but it's okay, we're going to run the ball because Juju's on the field. We need, you need players who are going to be able to play all 4 downs for you. Same thing when you talk about the defensive line. It's okay, they're, and it's time to play run defense because Mike Pennell's on the field. Oh, now we're taking him off. I want a guy who's going to play as many snaps as he can, as quickly as he can, who's going to make a difference. And so when I look at that, and depending on how the board falls, that might be Jeremiah Love. Now, there's other names that I would go, yeah, if I'm looking at Jeremiah Love or Keldrick Falk, the edge out of Auburn, I'm taking Falk, just because that positional value. But, edges, tackles, and wide receivers that get and corners, they're all going to go, especially the class. I'm looking at the consensus big board right now, and it's all those guys. There's 2 tackles that I think we could see in the top 10, but that's not guaranteed. So yeah, I mean, the other thing I was going to say about Jeremiah Love is I cannot say enough good things about him. He's one of the few guys that I have just highlighted as a blue chip guy in this draft. It's him and Arvell Reese. Those are it. Those are the guys who if I had to bet, my beard on that they were going to be, that they were going to be Pro Bowl, all pro level players, it's those guys. And I totally get the argument about Jeremiah Love, but in a draft class that I don't want to bring up 2013, but maybe some shades of that. I think you just go with whatever's going to make your team better, and that might be him. The Caleb Downs one is a little bit harder to make that argument. I'm sure I would come to love the player if he landed in Kansas City, but I don't. And maybe I need to take a closer look at him. I have him as rated as a really good player, but not a guy that I'm like, wow. Yeah. So, and I could be wrong. Like I said, I haven't done I didn't do a full deep dive on him just because I didn't expect him to be a guy in range for Kansas City.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to reemphasize the point, but I know that this is going to be a talking point for the next 3 months, and. Look, I just see running backs so differently, primarily because of the fact the last time the Chiefs drafted a good one was in the 3rd round in Kareem Hunt. And I see value in the mid-rounds when it comes to running back because the league is literally littered with them. I mean, Trevor, if you want to put that list up real quick, we can. I comprise this list together. This doesn't even include Jonathan Taylor, by the way, who was a 2nd-round pick. But James Cook, who literally led the league in rushing this year, was a 2nd-round pick. You look at the rest of this list, this is some of the best running backs in the league. I mean, 6 of these guys were in the top 10 in rushing this season. And none of them are 1st-round picks. Some of them are 5th-round picks. Some of them are undrafted free agents. And I understand this fascination of getting a stud running back, But my point is, you literally don't have to take one in the first round, because the last, everybody talks about, well, the Chiefs can't go edge rush because look what they did with FAU. Look what they've done with Karlaftis. Okay, if you want to play that game, we can do CEH then, because that's why you shouldn't go running back then in the first round. Like that's the logic here that we have to discuss. And so you're making the point I'm trying to make here is that when you get that one true opportunity, because we're not used to this at all in Kansas City, and I hope we never are as long as Patrick Mahomes is playing, to get this one opportunity to get this blue chip player. And you're right. More than likely, this isn't one of the better drafts over the last several years. But even to your point of 2013, there were valued picks in that one. This guy named Travis Kelce was in the third round. This guy named DeAndre Hopkins was in the mid rounds. Like, there are valuable players that came even in bad drafts. And so Brett Veach has been a guy that's been able to make do with having to find diamonds in the rough in the later rounds. And I think he's going to continue that. Hence why I think they need to go get more picks. But my mentality in this draft is if there's going to be a guy that even has the potential of being a blue chip edge rusher at number 9, you cannot hesitate at that position. You cannot sit there and say, well, does he really fit this scheme? Like, fuck that, dude. Get a dude that's got the freakish abilities. And I think there are a couple guys out there that could potentially be there with the Chiefs. And because Tom, we talked a little over, I think it was like 2 weeks ago when we were trying to get you on the show, is, dude, there are going to be 2 guys that I'm looking at very closely, and it's Ruben Bain and it's David Bailey. Now, there is a chance that Ruben Bain won't be there. I do think David Bailey will be. I think he will fall to 9. As crazy as that sounds, falling to 9 isn't that far. But let's say that Ruben Bain is there at 9. I know that and I want to get your thoughts on him specifically, but we've talked about arm length, and that is a valid conversation to have. And I'm sure that's going to be a talking point you do have. But I just want to throw this out here first, and then you can destroy my take in just a second. So it's unofficial right now, because obviously the combine will make all these things official when it comes to measurements and things of that nature. But it is unofficial that Ruben Bain has around 31-inch arms. That's not long arms, especially for edge rush. Edge rush, you usually go around 33 to 35-inch arms. But we do have the list. I think Trevor's still there if you want to put that up there, of former edge rushers throughout time that had over 100 career sacks that had shorter arms. And I think this is the list right here. Yeah. So Terrell Suggs, 32, Jared Allen, 32, Elvis Dumerville, 32, Cameron Wake, 32, Jason Taylor, 32, Aaron Donald, essentially 32, and then John Randall, 32 and a half. All those guys had over 100 sacks in their career. So all I'm trying to say is there are references out there where you can find that guy. And in my opinion, everything I've seen from Ruben Bain, I've been watching some Canes games of late especially, and some film. There's been other content creators that put his stuff out there. Dude, he looks like a freaking dog. He looks like a dude that can really wreck an entire offensive game plan. Maybe it doesn't translate to the NFL because of the arm issue, or maybe he just doesn't truly have that NFL talent, and we come to find out he's a fraud. But what if he becomes the next Dwight Freeney? Like, what if he becomes the next badass, 15 sack a season kind of guy? Like, that's the risk I'm willing to take, because the last time the Chiefs took such a massive risk like this, they got the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. So that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I think you and I agree here, but maybe you're seeing it just a little bit differently than I am, or I'm seeing it differently than you. So walk us through this real quick, man, about what are you seeing from Ruben Bain? Because I know you're giving me your insight. Give our audience here the insight of what you're seeing from Ruben Bain, maybe in a little bit of David Bailey as well.
Yeah, so let's talk about Bain, because I love the player, and I want to make that clear. Like, he is, if there was a third blue chip guy, it would be him. It's almost like he's like has an asterisk. For one reason, and I appreciate the context of that, like the short arms, and even to say, like, schematically, Ashton Gelati, who they drafted second round last year, his arms are under 32 inches. He's 31 and 7/8. So the Chiefs have even, broken out of that mold. It's not just that it is, he's got short arms. It's that his arms are like, we've just never seen it be successful at that length, right? You have the 32-inch arms. I will be very curious to see if he hits 32. I'll give him the blue stamp as I'll give him the bump up. You hear a lot of different things unofficially. I've heard that he might be closer to 30 than 31 inches. Can you throw that graphic back up? Because there's one thing I did learn this week that I thought was really interesting. Do you guys know who coaches defensive line at the University of Miami?
I have no clue.
He's on your list here.
Jason Taylor?
Jason Taylor.
Nice.
Yep. And I learned that this week, and I was like, huh. And I was like, it kind of makes sense. So that is a positive for me. And when I'm evaluating Bain to go, okay, he's learning from somebody who has done it. My only holdup, you use the example of Patrick Mahomes. I'll use it a different way. Russell Wilson. If you remember when Russell Wilson was coming out, people loved him as a prospect, but the only knock was that he was under 6 foot. They took him in the 3rd round. He has a very good career. The start of his career was excellent. But before that, you just didn't spend picks like that on guys who were under 6 foot. And then a couple of years later, you see, Bryce Young going number 1 overall. You've got some other smaller quarterbacks here and there. This may be a situation where you look at that and you go, maybe this is a metric that we've just held on to that's not necessary. Or maybe this is a guy who is breaking a mold. I feel better about that today than I did 2 weeks ago. But again, you swing it the other way. If you draft that player and he really struggles because of that arm length, it's going to be one of those things where people just look and go, well, duh, right? So the risk reward there is kind of hard from the point of, and maybe that's where Brett Veach will prove to be more knowledgeable or just has a bigger set than I do, because he's going to decide whether or not to make that risk. Because it could be his job. If he misses on that top 10 pick and it's, one of those things you're like, dude, why would you think this would be successful? It's never been successful before, but I think when I go back to the player, I see a guy who plays with a lot of intensity, a lot of strength, a lot of power. He knows the game. I think some of that risk is mitigated in the fact that even if you miss, you're probably getting still a solid rotational player at worst, which is not what you want at number 9. But if he's the name that came to mind was 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴, who's a kind of undersized defensive tackle, plays for the Buccaneers, very similar, just small measurables. And his issue has been staying healthy, but when he plays, he's a really good player. So if you get that level of player, I can live with it. If you get Ruben Bain at his full potential, then yeah, that's a home run. Yeah. If you could tell me that arm length wasn't going to be actually prohibitive, and do that with confidence, I think he's probably going top 5 based on, I watch with my own eyes, but then I just try to listen a lot too. I'm following my weekly routine. If it's and people are all over the place, but especially as when Dante Moore went back, it's just all these guys were pushed up, and all these conversations. And Bain has had a tremendous postseason for Miami too. He's been kind of the guy on that defense. So as far as David Bailey goes, I'm trying to get him to grow on me. This class is just kind of weak. And I would love David Bailey. His sack production is impressive. He's got just a great first step. He's bendy. He's a lot of the fun things that I think Kansas City fans have been wanting in the longest time. And I promise you, Steve Spagnuolo did not pay me to say this, but he struggles mightily against the run. He looked better at Texas Tech. But that's primarily because they were running at the other defensive end at Texas Tech, who was just a turnstile. I could live with David Bailey at 9. I would probably, again, grow to love him. That's how it is. The second the Chiefs call your name, we're on board. We're doing nothing but rooting for your success. I wouldn't be mad. I would feel pretty all right, maybe. We'll see. I need to look at where I would stack him compared to last year's class, because I don't know I would even put him in.
Well, that's the interesting thing about this, Tom. Why you looked that up, because I gotta lie, the way you just pitched David Bailey sounds pretty damn good, because obviously ideally you want him to be good at everything. Like, you want him to be able to slow down the run in his own respect. But if you could tell me this dude could potentially get the Chiefs 13 to 17 sacks a season, but he struggles with stopping the run, dude, I could live with that. Like, I legitimately could live with it. I don't know if you could, but like, Bendy gets after the quarterback, has a ton of TFLs. Like, to me, that's what this defense is literally missing. So I could live with some of the negative with a lot of positive. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I think that tracks. I'm not sure he's going to be like I said, what I look for is who's a guy who can leave on the field for all 3 downs.
Sure.
I think he could grow into that, maybe. I just looking at the 2025 edges, Bailey probably would have been right around edge 4 or 5 in that class for me. So, and I say that just to say this is a kind of a thin class, at least at the top. That's not to say that these players aren't going to be good or aren't going to develop. A lot of it's about where you land and what you're asked to do and how you fit. But in terms of just looking at them as prospects, I will say I don't have Bailey as my number 2 guy this year. I'm much higher on 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 than I think most people are.
Can you briefly just kind of give us a reason why that is?
Yeah. So somebody tweeted out, and I don't remember which analyst it was, but it's like, no, don't do that to him. 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺, he is 6'5", 288 pounds, out of Auburn. Somebody said, "Oh, this is the most spagsy defensive end." I was like, that is so not fair. And it's true in some sense, but he is so much like he just has more of that than I think other people see. So one of the things that so he's a 3-year starter. He's going to be one of the youngest players in this draft. So he will turn 21 in September of his rookie year. So, he's not going to be able to go out and celebrate on draft night with his boys. You have to wait.
At least legally.
Yeah. So 6'5", 288, he carries that. Like, you think of like somebody who's like a little bit bulky. No, he's jacked, dude. Auburn uses him in weird ways. They have him kind of lining up all over, a lot of 4-eye kind of inside shade. Again, not paid by Spagnuolo to say this, but he is elite against the run already. Doesn't miss tackles. He's got I'm anticipating him having a very large wingspan, but he looks like he just swallows people whole. He will lock an offensive lineman out, chuck him. But I see some of the other things. As a pass rusher, he's got room to grow, which again, people are like, and this is not a George Karlaftis kind of, like, I'm not saying that he can grow he just has to continue to put the tools together, kind of have more of a plan, learn those instincts. These are things that, when you talk about playing next to Chris Jones, or, there happens to be a really, really good former All-Pro defensive end in Kansas City who likes to work with young players who end up here. Let's go put Keldrick in the room with Tom Bahali for a couple off seasons and see what we get. I've comped him to Trayvon Walker, the former number 1 overall pick from the Jaguars. Just athletically, all the traits you want. Strong as an ox. I'm not the person who goes, oh, it has to be a Spags end. I don't care about that. I'm watching this player and going, okay, do I think David Bailey could come in and have a bigger splash on day 1? Sure. But if you ask me who's going to be, again, vying for an All-Pro spot in 3 years, it's going to be, I see 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 being closer to that. And I could be wrong. I was wrong once before, only once. But that's my guy. He's been my guy for a minute. I know my co-host Garrett disagrees with me, but Garrett's wrong. Yeah. So I mean, I could live. I would be excited about, just because I'm like, all right, if we're in on it, we're in on it. Falk, I would be excited about. Bailey, I could live with, I will say Falcon and Bane I would take over Love. Bailey, that's kind of where my line is, where I go, okay, now we need to kind of have a conversation about what's going to help our team,
Yeah. Well, I think if the Chiefs take Keldrick, I think we can say Folk. Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to do all right. So
you were sitting that one. You were holding that one in. You were waiting.
Dude, I almost couldn't breathe. I was just waiting to here's the chance, dude. I'm going to use this horrific pun, and Tom's going to love it. Trevor's not going to walk out of the room, and the audience is not going to shut their show off. So we survived this. But Tom, I got one last question for you here, and we're going to get you out of here because I appreciate your time, dude. It's very kind of you to be here tonight. I know you said that you're not, the playoffs. What's the playoffs? It's the off season, but I still got to get your take here, man, your prediction, because I know you're probably still hate watching at least the playoffs. So just to, get your official prediction here, bub. Who do you have in the Super Bowl and who's winning it?
Anybody except for the Broncos and anybody except for the Broncos. That's I'll be honest, I was a big Drake May fan coming out. If I have any rooting interest, it's in Drake May, not the Patriots. That hurts me to say, but I would like to see that. But I think it's hard not to root for the Rams and Stafford, and and at the same time, as far as the Rams go, not to circle this all the way back to earlier conversations, but maybe they fall a little bit short and they want to go all in, and Stafford comes back for one more year, and they're willing to give up some more picks to get a guy like Trent McDuffie. So, maybe they get carved up and they need a secondary player. So, watching that. But Rams and Patriots would be pretty fun. And to my point earlier about how much the team, the league changes and how fast it plays. We had a Rams Patriots Super Bowl not too long ago, and it looked much different. So, I probably rooting for Drake May on the AFC side, and then and I'm an Illinois boy, so I wouldn't mind if the Bears somehow got there, but I don't think that's too realistic.
Understood, man. Before you get out of here, man, let the people know where they can follow you, obviously, on social platforms, and obviously plug away the Kingdom Says podcast. I know you guys post on our Facebook platform all the time, which I love. I love that you guys are getting your content out there. But let the people know where they can get you and where, what nights they should expect to, or what days, whatever it is that you guys drop your shows, man.
Yeah, so we unintentionally, all three of us moved this year, all around the same time. We've all three of us have moved in the last 2 months, so it's been a little bit of a wonky time. We during the season we were going live on Fridays. We're kind of in the middle of a regroup to see what that'll look like. But yeah, we're at the Kingdom Says Pod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I am obviously at Arrowhead Tom. If you can't find the podcast, just shoot me a message or tag me in something. We're pretty easy to find. We're everywhere you can find a podcast. But yeah, Lance, Trevor, again, thanks for having me. Love chatting ball with you guys. Always appreciate, even if you're completely wrong about Jeremiah Love, I appreciate you having me. I'm telling you, you'd be the first person to buy his jersey once. Just go watch a few more. Watch a little more. He's so good, man. He's so good.
His nickname in Kansas City would be Love Potion number 9. It just makes so much sense if that happened.
Of course. Oh, and the number of puns, the number of headlines with Travis Kelce and Love and all of that, we could really,
it's endless.
It's there, but I'm telling you, he's a special player. I don't want you to be mad about it if it happens. So
I'm gonna be mad, Thomas.
All right,
I'm gonna be mad.
I'll take you out to pizza, and I'll try to convince you. We'll watch the clips together.
That's going to require you actually hitting me up. You got my number, dude. So you text me when you're ready to hang out. We're going to do this.
All right. I'll hunt you down. All right, guys. I appreciate you having me.
It's our pleasure, brother. If I don't talk to you before the weekend's up, I hope you have a fucking good weekend. How about that?
All right. See you guys.
See you, brother. That's our guy, Thomas Pike, man. Arrowhead Tom, one of the best in the biz, man. He's a great dude, good buddy of ours. gotten to know him, man. It feels, man, it's been, I think, at least 4 or 5 years now, man, that I've gotten to know him and Kyle and Garrett. Those guys, really good dudes. They have an honest show. That's what I like about them the most. They don't try to fluff shit up, man. They tell you what it is and what isn't, and they get out. I love that about them. They're efficient guys. Tom's one of the best out there. Like I said, good dude and a good content creator. It's hard to find both. So that is, we appreciate his time, man. But Trevor, I want to get, I'm excited about this, dude, because I want to get your thoughts. I'm going to kind of let you steer this one here, because we have some big playoff games here, dude, that are coming up. And I know you and I, dude, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even know. How did you do on your picks last week? Because I know I think I only missed on one, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. I think I had the Jaguars beating the Bills. I was wrong about that one, but I had the Texans, I had the Patriots, and
the Niners wasn't right. I think you had the Eagles beating the Niners.
I did. Okay, so I had 2 wrong. Okay, I apologize.
We
Yeah,
both
so
had 2 wrong because I picked the Steelers to win.
Yeah.
And then I also picked the Packers to win.
Okay.
Boy, was I wrong. Jesus.
Well, we have a new week, a new fresh slate of predictions to give you guys, and I want to start right here with Trevor. I'm going to let you take this one over, brother, because you've had to sit there and not talk for like an hour.
No, you're good. You guys were cooking.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, thanks again for our guy Tom, man. That was awesome. Broncos host the Bills, 3:30 tomorrow. It is on CBS. In case anybody is wondering, the line has tilted back and forth. Initially, the Bills were, I think, 1.5-point favorites on the road, and then it now is currently 1-point favorite for the Broncos at home. So it is essentially a pick'em game.
Yeah.
I want your thoughts on this one, man, because this is a very intriguing matchup for, I think, a multitude of reasons. But I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the tougher matchup was already overcome for the Bills. I think the Jaguars was a tougher matchup than this one is, in my opinion. I know they're going to Denver. That's a hostile environment. I get it. All respected. That's a great fan base over there. Those people love their donkeys, man. It's a tough home field for sure. I just have way more faith in Josh Allen figuring out a way to win this game than Bo Nix, especially if, and I know the fourth quarter comebacks that Bo Nix has somehow managed to, do this season in several games. I don't see it happening in this situation. I think if Josh Allen spills blood and he gets a lead, I just don't see the Broncos coming back enough from a lead, especially if Bo Nix being forced to throw against this secondaries, which is one of the best secondaries in football against the pass. I just don't have faith in the Broncos. I was never a big believer in them. They feel pretty fraudulent. That's an elite defense without question. I'm not even trying to throw any shade. I just haven't seen enough out of Bo Nix to go win a big, meaningful game yet. Fourth quarter comebacks be damned in the regular season. It doesn't really matter to me. So I still don't believe. I know they got that first round bye. They're the 1 seed. Good for them. They took advantage of the downfall of the Chiefs this year. Somebody had to win the division, right? So I just don't believe in the Broncos when it comes down to it for me. I don't believe in Bo Nix to be like an X factor kind of guy with like the intangibles to go win a meaningful playoff game against maybe outside of Patrick Mahomes, the best player in football, in Josh Allen. So I saw enough out of Josh Allen last week against, and like I said, a tougher matchup in my opinion, against a better team in my opinion. And he overcame that. Wasn't a great running game for the Bills in that game either. So I don't think the Bills have to run the ball specifically in a great way to win this game. I think Josh Allen can go win this game. Granted, they've lost Gabe Davis and they've lost Shavers both to ACL tears, so they're pretty depleted in the passing game. I just think Josh Allen's so great. I think he figures out a way to win, man. This is his moment too. Like I said, this has got to be the most motivated Josh Allen you've ever seen. His biggest obstacle has been out of the way this entire run. There's no excuses. Like I said last week, I think the Jags should win that game, but Josh Allen had to win that game, and Josh Allen did win. So I expect this more of the same. I think we're going to get more great Josh Allen outside of an absolute monster performance from this Broncos defense, which could happen. I'm not going to act like that can't happen. This defense is really good. But I just think this is a moment for Josh Allen to really make a statement here and make a Super Bowl run, and I think that continues this week against the Broncos. I think the Bills win this one.
I completely agree. Yeah. You guys know where I stood on this Bills team going into last week's matchup in Jacksonville. I was adamant that the Jaguars were going to win that game and win that game convincingly. And in some regards, the Jaguars could have still pulled that off. But they didn't, and I have to credit the Bills for that, and in particular Josh Allen, because Josh Allen went in there and made plays. And, I was also saying, Trevor, unless James Cook cooks, the Bills don't win. Yeah. James Cook didn't cook. Yep. In fact, he wasn't even in the kitchen.
Josh Allen's just fucking great, man.
And Josh made some fucking plays, dude. So you guys, we're honest dudes here, man. I'm not going to sit here and try to build a narrative off something that I'm biased. No. Josh Allen did his thing.
I'm legitimately proud of Josh Allen.
Yes.
Like, this is his moment. Dude.
All the pressure's on him.
Way, bro. Yeah.
If you look at Drake May, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam probably has a little bit of pressure on him, but he's got a long-term deal. He's got a really good young team around him. They're going to have multiple tries at this. Sure. Brock Purdy's got a ton of money, and they have an excuse built in with all the banged-up players. They have star players, let alone. So there's, like I said, we all know that everyone's watching what is Josh Allen going to do. So for him to go into Jacksonville against a stout defense, against a team that was hot as fuck, one of the hotter teams in the league, to go in there and beat them in their own house, dude, I'm just going to tip it, dude. Like, that's what we have to do here. So, yes, look, this Broncos team is a good team. We're not going to sit here and pretend like the Broncos aren't a good team. They got the 1 seed for a reason, dude. So we're going to tip our cap to that as well. But we're not going to sit here and also pretend as if this Broncos offense doesn't have real problems. I mean, for God's sakes, the last time we saw this team actually play a real game, it was 13-13 in the fourth quarter with the completely depleted Chiefs team that had nothing to play for other than the feels of Travis Kelce maybe playing his last home game. So that's what I'm looking at. Is yes, the Broncos won a lot of close games this year, but it wasn't against great teams. It was against non-playoff teams. Yep. They're going to be facing a team, albeit banged up, like you said.
Yeah, name the signature Broncos win this year.
But yeah, right. And they're going into this matchup though against the best quarterback in the playoffs. And for me, I'm looking at this match and I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be a close game, probably going to be low scoring. Which quarterback am I trusting? I'm not trusting Bo Nix. Right. It's Josh Allen, dude. So, yes, I am vehemently picking the Bills, which means I'm probably going to be wrong because I was wrong about the Bills last week. Nevertheless, I coincide with you, and I have a score. I'm giving it 20-17. I think this is going to be a field goal game. Yeah. That's what I don't know if you have a score or not, but that's what I have, 2017.
No, I don't have a score, but I've had to pick a score. I think I'd go like 21-14.
Yeah.
I think the Bills win by more than a field goal.
Okay.
I think they win pretty convincingly. I really think that the Broncos offense is going to have a tough time putting up points. I really, really do. And I know this defense of the Bills is pretty depleted on the defensive line, but their secondary is really good. And I just don't think that. I know RJ Harvey's come alive down the stretch, but I don't know, man. I don't see it.
Noah John Marshall said, rooting for Denver, don't want Buffalo ever getting a ring. Their fans are too stupid and nasty. They truly believe KC won rings because of refs, Goodell, Swift, etc. Keep them miserable. Denver has Super Bowls already. What's one more? I'm torn on this one. For me, it's lose because the Broncos get to a fucking Super Bowl or AFC Championship. We're not going to hear the end of that all off season. And if the Bills were to get to the Super Bowl, we're going to hear that all off season. It's lose.
No, but the way I see it is say the Bills do go to the Super Bowl, say they fucking win it. For me, the narrative is going to be oh, you won it because we were out of your way. You won it because the Chiefs weren't in your way.
Yeah.
So that just honestly just feeds the narrative that he can't do it when Pat's in his way.
Yeah.
So honestly, I've said it before on the show, I do believe if the Chiefs didn't exist and this dynasty hasn't existed so far in this run, I do think Josh would have been a champ by now. I think that Josh is that great. I really do. I have all the respect for Josh. I just think it's been unfortunate for him that Pat's just been the better.
There is a little bit of a mid-90s Houston Rockets vibe to that.
Man,
if that was to happen, everybody go, yeah, but Michael Jordan retired.
Yeah.
Y'all won the ring, but he was
sure.
I get that. And
it'll be earned for sure, but the narrative will still exist.
Yeah.
And 13 seconds, all that shit will still be the narrative.
And honestly, if we're being real here, that would only help Patrick Mahomes' legacy.
Right.
Because the 1 year he's not in the playoffs, Josh Allen finally breaks the seal. That makes Patrick Mahomes look even better because he's 4-0 against that guy.
Plus, I would be waking up in cold sweats if I just picked the Broncos on. I'm good. I can't pick the Broncos. And I'm not even I truly do believe the Bills are winning this game, so that's why I'm picking them. But I would be honest, if I thought the Broncos would win, I would probably pick them very reluctantly. But there's no way I can see myself rooting for the Broncos. That feels so dirty, bro.
Our guy Weston Brewster has the Broncos 23-20. Super Devil Juice said talking about Jonathan Cooper, said the Chiefs are bitch made, so screw the donkeys. Fair enough. Noah John Marshall said, good point. That's also true. Bills fans won't say that, but the rest of the league will and know it deep down. Yeah, so John Harrison piss on the donkeys. Yeah, so I think it's a mixed bag. I think that there are some people that want to see one of these other teams win. So
I think the Bills are as a respectable foe, man. We've had some of the greatest battles, some of the greatest NFL games I've ever watched.
Shit, they've helped us get the Super Bowl, so we appreciate it.
Well, for sure, but even like the regular season matchups, like it's a respectable foe, man. Yeah. There's a lot of respect between them. There's been some chatter, but this isn't the Bengals, right? There's a lot more bad blood with the Bengals, just with the chatter and the
Burrowhead bullshit.
Yeah, way more with them. It's been pretty respectful, man. I think Josh and Pat actually do like Joe.
I do think it would be different if I think the temperature would be different if the Bills had beaten the Chiefs at least once in the playoffs.
For sure,
because like the Bengals did, that's why they had that title.
The narrative is what it is for me right now. Still, like they go and they have a nice run here and they go to the Super Bowl, maybe win it, or at least make the dance. You got there because Pat was in it, anyway, buddy. Like that would be the narrative for me.
Then the nightcap for Saturday night is the Seahawks hosting the 49ers. An NFC West matchup. There are 3 NFC West teams still in the playoffs. This is awesome to see. A perennial awesome division, and it's no surprise at all that these 3 teams are here. The 49ers have been probably the most resilient team in the NFL. The Seahawks have been one of the more talented, dominant teams in the NFL. Yeah. So this is, look, man, on paper, this looks like it should be a beatdown. And I'm not going to steal the thunder here, because I want to hand it to you, but this matchup, when we've talked to some buddies at the gym and stuff like that, when we've had these conversations about this matchup, and I've been saying nonstop that it's a head-heart conversation. You know what I mean? Your head tells you one thing, your heart tells you the other.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those games. How do you see this one going, man?
Listen, man, I went with the Seahawks are a 7-point favorite, and for a good reason. They've been the better team most of the year, even though crazy enough, the Niners still had, with a couple weeks left in the season, the Niners still had a chance to win the 1 seed in the NFC. That just shows you how the parity of this league has been this year. It's pretty wild. I picked the Niners last week against the Eagles. I felt good about it. I trust this Shanahan-led team. There's something about this team, man. Like there's like some magic to it. No matter who they've lost, the morale of this team is fun. The coaching has just been awesome. Shanahan is in his bag right now. McCaffrey's playing inspired football right now. He's been awesome. Juwan Jennings has been balling. And Brock played really well last week. I think he played well enough to obviously win the game, but just something to build on moving forward in the rest of the postseason. And I think matchups, obviously matchups make fights. And these teams have met before. These teams have had good games, close games. I'm going the Niners here, man. Like I said, there's just something about this team. Sometimes there's just good vibes. I know I'm not like, it's the vibes. I'm not doing all that shit, but their moon is rising, and the stars are giving me a message here. Listen, man, I think.
What's your sign?
Yeah. What's your moon? Listen, bro, I all the respect to the Seahawks team. I think they are good. It is a little worrisome though with the oblique news with Darnold.
Definitely
that kind of came out like just today, I think, which was weird. Like he had something at practice. That's bad. That's not an oblique strain for a quarterback, especially a guy who's known to kind of crumble in these kind of games. That's kind of a scary thing if I'm the Seahawks. Granted, their defense is elite. Brock Purdy has those games where he can just turn into a pumpkin and throw 4 or 5 picks. We've seen that happen before, and this is a defense you could definitely do that against. And they're at home, and one of the best home field advantages in the league. But I like the Niners, man. I think it's going to be a close one. I think this one could be a shootout, too. I think both these offenses just know how to score points, and both these offenses have elite playmakers. Granted, George Kittle being out is massive here, which that's the only thing that really kind of gave me hesitancy with picking the Niners, just because he's kind of like the heart and soul of that team. As much as I love McCaffrey, George is kind of like that guy that everyone – he's kind of like our Kelsey, right?
Yep.
With Eric Kelsey. So yeah, I think Shanahan has something going here, man. I think Robert Saleh has been coaching his freaking ass off. Love what he has. He has those guys flying around, man. Just playing inspired football. Guys, I see names on jerseys. I don't even know who these guys are. Yeah. And they're just flying around making plays. There's just something about that, man. And momentum is a hell of a drug. I say it all the time in the show. No matter what sport it is, sometimes you're rolling. And if people believe, and when you believe in a locker room, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of magic to that. So I'm rolling with the team right now, man. That's And sometimes the bye week, especially with guys like Darnold's, some guys haven't been here before, JSN. I think he's going to ball either way. I think JSN's just too damn good. But some of these guys that haven't really been in these positions before, a week off sometimes can kind of hurt your momentum, as a really good team. And I think a team like the Niners that's just continuing to roll and play inspired football, that's a dangerous thing, man. Because they're kind of like, people look at them, they're a team that's not really supposed to be here right now because of what they've gone through.
They're playing with house money.
And they just lost George Kittle in a game, and they still went out and finished the game and won. They could have laid down after that happened, So they didn't. Yeah, man. I like the Niners, bro. I'm going Niners here.
And the Niners have a motivating factor here, too. I know that Fred Warner's not going to play in this game, but him being at practice, you even heard Trent Williams say that that's motivating in itself. So the Niners are going to come into this game with not only motivation, but they're going to come into this game like you were just saying. I think they're going to be the looser team. They're going to be a team that's going to play a little more carefree because they know that they're not expected to win this game. I think the Seahawks are 7-point favorites, if I'm not mistaken. But I am picking the Seahawks in this one.
Okay.
And the biggest reason why is because these teams know each other better than most other teams know each other. Because this is a divisional matchup. This will be the third time they face, and these teams faced off in the final week of the season for the 1 seed.
Yep.
And that game was in San Francisco with a much healthier can you believe it or not, they were actually healthier at that time. A healthier San Francisco. I don't think Trent Williams did play in that game with his hamstring, but they had Kittle. And they shut the Niners down.
Yeah.
They beat them up both sides of the ball, dude. Like the Seahawks
beat Seattle this year too.
Sure, and that was earlier in the season, and that was actually a shootout.
To John Harrison's point, Brock Purdy's 4-0 in Seattle.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you're not going to hear me disrespect the Niners right now. I for the record, I will not be shocked if we're here in a week talking about the Niners advancing to the NFC Championship because this team fights and they have one of the best head coaches in the NFL. It would be absolutely crazy. But the reason I'm picking Seattle is at some point in the postseason, attrition does play a factor, especially when you don't have an elite quarterback. Like we just made the case for the Bills having attrition, but Josh Allen.
Sometimes we having the pieces at a certain point matters.
Yes.
Sure.
Like if this Niners team had Josh Allen, I'd pick the Niners because I think he can make up for said attrition.
I think a prime example is the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that Josh Allen. I don't think Brock Purdy's going to be able to make up with the loss of George Kittle. And I know that Christian McCaffrey can do his damnedest, and he's maybe the best running back, maybe the best weapon in the NFL still. But we saw against this same Seahawks defense just in the final week of the season, they held Christian McCaffrey to 57 total yards.
Yeah,
like. That, you know how hard that is to do for a guy that averages 112 yards a game for his career? Like, that's insane to think about, dude. They kept him to less than half of that. And I'm not saying that's going to be replicated, but now it's even more so they're going to fixate on him because they don't have George Kittle out there. And Ricky Pearsall is supposed to be like a game-time decision, and he's going to be probably rusty because he's been gone for a while. Like, Trent Williams will be back for this game.
Have DeMarcus Robinson.
He had a good He played his ass off the other day, for sure. But I mean, I look at this matchup and I see the last time these two teams faced, like I said, they held the Niners to 3 points. The Seahawks only scored 13, but they controlled that entire game with 39 rush attempts for 180 yards.
It was an ugly game.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet were running all over that defense, dude. Yeah. They both combined for over 160 rushing yards in that game, 170 in fact. I think that's exactly what's going to happen again because the Niners defense is bad at stopping the run. And I think that's what the Seahawks know is they're not going to put this on Sam Darnold because even in that last victory, Sam Darnold had 198 yards and no touchdowns, and it didn't matter. Yeah. So I think that's how it's going to go again. But this time I think that you're going to see Sam Darnold hit JSN a couple times down the field because they're going to set up the play action. They're going to control the tempo of the game. And I just think that it's going to be a little too much for a Niners team that has scraped and clawed their whole way here. But losing George Kittle, I think, is going to be kind of like that death nail. I hate to say that, but he is an X factor, dude. He's still one of the best tight ends.
Without him now.
Yeah.
Like, they had the whole week to prepare for without him being it. Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure that Sam Darnold is legitimately hurt. I'm sure that he's going to be dealing with that, and it's going to suck and it's going to hurt. But when you have two starting running backs in your backfield, sometimes it just doesn't matter. And I just think that, like I said, they're just going to out health the Niners in this one. And maybe I'll be wrong, and I'll gladly hold that L, dude, because like I said, the Niners have been proving everybody wrong all damn season. I thought once Warner and Bosa and those guys were down, I'm like, their season's done.
I mean, to counter your pushback a little bit, like the Niners are really bad against the run, but they just held maybe the best running quarterback, one of the best running quarterbacks in football, and maybe one of the best generational talent running backs we've ever seen is Saquon Barkley, and they still won that game.
And that's fair because I did pick the Eagles. I will say that, and I thought Saquon. Well, I think Saquon actually had a pretty good game.
I will say though, Seattle's been a better running team than actually, which is crazy enough.
Yeah.
I mean, Saquon's been pretty good, but like as far as a running offense, Seattle's probably been better than Philly this year overall. I mean, Philly's offense has been terrible this year, but as much as it is, I know the names on Philly are bigger in name, but like
Barkley had 106 rushing yards, but yeah, I mean,
but it wasn't like oh my god,
it took 26 rushes to get there,
right?
But my point is though is that not to take this away from the Niners, I'm really not because they earned that victory last week. But dude, it's not a mystery. The Eagles have been a shit storm internally.
There was a lot going on.
I mean, you saw AJ Brown and Sirianni infighting. You know, Big Dom, whatever the fuck that dude's there, and separating them. Like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I need my cannoli. I need my cannoli. Boppity beepity. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that Eagles team's weird. I should have seen that fucking coming, dude. But credit to the Niners for getting there and getting their job done. That's not something that you just walk in and win. You know, that's obviously a difficult place to win, but there's a lot of weird shit with that Eagles team, and I think that got in the way, dude. Yeah,
you gotta give them respect for sure.
But right now I'm gonna pick the Seahawks to win this one 27-20.
They should win this game, bro.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, if the Niners win this game, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, what the fuck? I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, they are a championship pedigree type team. Like they have been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 8 years. Like or 7 years. It's not shocking that they can do this, man. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game regardless, man. Now we're moving to the Sunday slate. This is a game I know Trevor's very invested in, and I am invested in as well because I think we both have been very right about both these teams. I have been very right about the Texans and how I think that's the best unit in the NFL on the defensive side. And Trevor was before anybody else out there predicted this Patriots rise. And this is a very exciting matchup for me because I don't think the AFC is very good this year. But the Patriots have been that one like true consistent like fun team to watch because of Drake May's emergence. But then the Texans just keep winning games. They're on a 10-game winning streak despite the fact they probably have the worst quarterback of all the playoff quarterbacks. If we're being real here, like I was literally we were sitting right next to each other. How many times did I bring up fucking Davis Mills? I was like, God damn it, put Davis Mills in the game.
The cuts to D'Amico Ryans was fun.
Oh,
he's like,
if that dude had hair, he would have lost it. Like that's
the
how
amount
bad
of
that
size
was.
that were coming out of that side.
Dude,
oh
so
goodness.
I think I know where you're going with this one. But who do you have winning in the Patriots-Texans matchup?
I mean, I'm picking the Patriots in this game, but to clarify and to like the feelings I was that game against the Steelers, man, I was very bummed. I really wanted to see Aaron Rodgers go against Drake May. That just feels like a better fun matchup in my opinion. Steelers offense is terrible, and that Texans defense is one of the best I've seen in the last few seasons. They're insanely elite. But yeah, I just think that, like, again, talk about something about teams. I think there's something about this Patriots team, the way they play for Vrabel, the vibes that went, and just something about the way Vrabel has attacked this season. Every single game, win or lose, he's in the tunnels, high-fiving and hugging every single coach, staff member, player that comes back in before he even gets into the back of the locker room. The guy has created and established a beautiful environment for this team, and I love it, man. I think these guys would do anything for this man, and I think that this is maybe the most inspired football team I think in this entire playoffs right now. The way that they're playing for me,
they're the opposite of the Eagles.
Yeah,
they don't have any bad vibes at all.
It's a beautiful thing to watch. Like this is why I love sports. I love the camaraderie it creates. Let alone with just the people, but like the men and the women that are involved in these teams, and like certain coaches can just know how to bring people together. Sure. Vrabel is one of those unique kind of guys. Getting the bloody lip from his player headbutt.
That was tight. That was tight.
Dude, it's all just a beautiful thing, but nonetheless, it comes down to X's and O's most of the time. And I just think the Patriots, and I know the defense of this Texans team is nothing to be messed with and nothing to be looked over. And they're going to make their plays in this game. I just think this isn't even about Drake May. This is about the entirety of this Patriots team also being at home, which is a great place to play at home. Drake May didn't necessarily play great last week. Still got the win. Made the plays when they needed him. That touchdown to Hunter Henry was awesome. Absolute dart. Absolute just dropped it in the bucket kind of touchdown. Had to have it moment. He went and he did it. I just trust Drake May. I trust Vrabel, the better coach in this game here, to go take care of business. I think it could be an ugly dogfight for sure. I think these guys, because as much as I like Drake May, he's still raw in a lot of ways.
Right.
He still makes a lot of mistakes, boneheaded fumbles, holds onto the ball way too long too sometimes, has some fucking terrible interceptions sometimes. All the greats, a lot of great quarterbacks kind of go through that. This is his moment. And I think, you get this is his baptism through fire moment right now. And I think the Patriots come out on the other end as the forged victor in this matchup here, man. So I'm going Patriots.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is where Trevor and I are going to really disagree because I have nothing but admiration and respect for Mike Vrabel and what he's done with this Patriots team. I think that Drake May is a superstar on the rise. I still believe, though, that they are a year away from what they're actually going to become. And it's not even actually more about the Patriots. It's because of the adamant respect and love I have for DeMeco Ryans and what he's doing because, again, they just went on. I understand the Steelers are pretty much fucking fraudulent.
In spite of CJ's performance was
that's what I'm saying. Like, to go on the road,
absolutely shut Aaron Rodgers.
To go on the road, that franchise has never won a road playoff game. Yeah. You go not only on the road, but in a hostile environment in Pittsburgh with the terrible towels, and they knew that the pressure was on Tomlin and Rodgers, and to go on the road in the frigid cold. I think it was like 30 degrees out there, if that. CJ Stroud had 5 fumbles and an interception. And you win by 24?
In reality, they goose egged the Steelers.
Yes, because they gifted them those
points. They set them up in field goal range. Dude. And honestly, the Steelers fucked up when they went for it on that 4th down, in my opinion. They should have just took their points there. But it didn't matter at the end. The game was over with a pick 6. It was an ugly game, but yeah.
And this is the point I'm trying to make, is that this is why I said this game is going to be so much fun to me, because both these quarterbacks had shit performances in the wild card round, but they both won by double digits. I have clearly more faith in Drake May.
And Drake May's game was shit, but
it's his own standard because he's had a really good season. An MVP season, he did not play anywhere near an MVP.
Still efficient, but yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, statistics. Yeah, he at times, outside of his run plays when he had that 37-yard rush, which was awesome. Outside of that, he didn't make like plays. He didn't have like a bunch of plays. Yeah. And in the playoffs, you're going to need that from Drake May. And I look at this Texans defense. And I don't see those plays because now this is where the conversation gets real for the Patriots. Because you're going to need some Jimmies and Joes, and they don't have that. Yeah. Like, Stephon Diggs is still good.
Travion Henderson has the most upside, probably.
Right. And let's be real, this Texans defense is going to know, they're going to know the Patriots are going to try to run the shit out of this ball. We know that Stevenson and Travion are going to get plenty of touches in this game. Yeah. And this is going to be a close, low-scoring game, in my opinion. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game, which really goes into the favor of the Texans. I'm going to give a stat that's going to confuse you right now, because you're going to think I'm making a case for the Patriots, but I'm actually not. Drake May this season has been the best quarterback against pressure. The number 1 quarterback in yards and yards per attempt and completion percentage and just about any statistical category, he's been the best. But there's context to that, because pressure is a generalized statement. What we're talking about here is a defense that does not send blitzes. They are literally 22nd in the league in blitz rate, but they are 7th in sack percentage.
I think there were 3 or 4 guys consistently.
Yes. So what I'm saying is, when you have an elite cornerback in Stingley and Lassiter, who's becoming a star, Petrie as well, who's a dog against the Steelers, not to mention a plethora of dudes across the board, not even Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. We're talking about Autry. We're talking about several other guys on that defense that Al-Shahir makes insane plays all over the field. It's going to be really difficult for me to imagine that Drake May is going to be able to manufacture enough points against this defense to win this game, in my opinion. I think that this Texans defense, again, I'm going to continue to say it until I'm wrong. This is the single best unit in the NFL. This isn't about the Patriots not being good enough. I think that it's not going to – I don't think CJ's going to have that kind of game again. I don't think he's got 5 fumbles and a pick.
Patriots defense is better than the Steelers defense. So
fair.
That's
but I think
that's a sleeper point.
Yeah.
Nobody's really talking about the Patriots defense. Their defense is
they have a good defense, and Christian Gonzalez is going to play. Yeah. So, again, same logic applies with the Niners and Seahawks. Like, if the Patriots win this game, who's going to sit here and go, oh, my God. Yeah. Like, we all know the Patriots are a legit team. Yeah. What I'm saying, though, dude, is that the Chargers defense does not even compare at all to the Texans defense. They're a good defense. Yeah. They don't have the playmakers that the Texans do. And you saw how difficult it was for the Patriots to move the ball in that Chargers defense. They did struggle to move the ball. Dude, I would be shocked. I'd be more shocked if the Patriots score over 20 in this game than they score over 10. because this Texans defense, in my opinion, is going to go down with the 2015 Broncos, the 2000 Ravens. Defenses like, I really believe we're going to look back and look at this defense as one of those.
Yeah.
The 2013 Seahawks, it's going to be one of those defenses that get a mediocre to bad quarterback to the Super Bowl. I really believe that, dude. Go ahead.
Like when you get down to like picking games,
yeah,
this one's honestly the most interesting game to me. In my personal opinion, just because these teams are so different in their strengths. Even though I think the Patriots are the better balanced team,
I would agree with that.
When it comes down to the bare bones of like picking games, what is it for you? Because for me, it almost I'm having a hard time picking a game. It's always like, okay, what is it that sways me if I'm really on the fence on a game? For me, it's head coach, quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's almost always when it comes down. Typically, I mean, granted, great defensive players can make things change things, of course. But decision making, situational football, what your quarterback and coach, that usually is the biggest thing. So for me, I look at the head coach and quarterback comparison, and I that's why it helps me lean towards the Patriots, because I could definitely see the Texans going to just dominating this game again, because that's what they've done basically all year since like week 3 on. This defense has just been shutting everybody down. But for me, man, it comes down to situational football, the experience. Vrabel has way more experience, in my opinion. It's just straight up does. Drake May doesn't have the experience that CJ does. CJ's been in the playoffs a couple more times, obviously. But for me, man, when it comes to picking this game, it's the quarterback and head coach, and I think the Patriots have the better of the two.
And that is exactly how I almost always base it as well.
Yeah.
You said usually. That's the key word. That's the key word.
Time. Yeah.
Usually. Dude, nothing about the 2025 season has anything to do with usually, though. Let's be real. Like,
sure.
Like, think about it.
Look at the Niners.
Who won the 2-1 seeds on both sides? Bo Nix and Sean Payton, and then Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a usual season at all. So I'm looking at the exception to the rule this season, because I really do believe this is one of those, like, Joe Flacco gets to the Super Bowl types, 2012 seasons. Like, who? Like, you see Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger, Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger, Brady, Joe Flacco, Brady, Manning. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is one of those seasons.
To that point, though, this is why no one really believes in the Broncos other than the Broncos fans. And most people are going to pick the Bills because the better coach in this position and the better quarterback are going in that game.
But you asked the question, like, why, like, what is it that sways me in these matchups? Every matchup is obviously different. What sways me in the Bills, for the Bills in their direction, is because Josh Allen has established himself as a proven entity in the postseason.
Yeah.
We haven't. If Bo Nix, let's say like last season, Bo Nix got to the AFC Championship and played really well, I would pick the Broncos in this game.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that hasn't happened, and the fact that we just saw a year ago, and I know the teams have changed a little bit, but just a year ago, the Bills beat the brakes off the Broncos in the playoffs. There's a mental advantage I think the Bills have on them as well. Kind of like how the Chiefs, when the Bills and the Chiefs play, we know like the Bills have had sometimes better rosters, but the Chiefs had that. The Chiefs had the mental advantage. Josh Allen is the X factor in that matchup.
Yeah.
When it comes to this matchup, I'm looking at the X factor of the Texans defense being that entity that makes all the difference in the world. Because let's be real. CJ Stroud played like a quarterback that should have got blown out. Any other road matchup, they get blown out. But because that defense is so fucking unreal, it didn't matter. He could have had 4 turnovers in that game, and it didn't matter.
You're playing a 42-year-old quarterback.
Sure. But let's be real. Like, people did pick the Steelers.
They were being mean.
But people still were picking the Steelers to win that game.
I did. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm looking at in this matchup, is that the Patriots are a worthy opponent, dude. They could very well win this game, but if I'm picking who I have more faith in right now, Drake May or that Texans defense, I am going with the Texans defense. And I feel very confident saying that. You know what I mean? Like, them, because, we do like the quarterback versus quarterback thing, but in the grand scheme of things, they don't actually face off.
Yeah.
Well, in this matchup, they do. It's the Texans defense versus Drake May, literally. So I'm going to pick that the Texans defense is going to do more to Drake May than Drake May is going to do to them. I could be wrong, because like I said, I think he's an emerging superstar.
Yeah.
Maybe I will be wrong, but I don't think he's got the weapons that can necessitate that.
I mean, Pop Douglas, old Stephon Diggs.
Right. Hunter Henry, like
Travion. I think Travion is the X factor in this game.
Yeah.
I think if Travion could go off on some dump offs, because that guy's lightning, bro.
Yeah.
I think he could break this game. That's saying a lot, though. I mean, there are not a lot of people that break a game wide open against this defense. So, I mean, I think it's going to come down to a play or two. I really do. This game is going to be
100% great. Dude, I have this being a 29 total point game.
Yeah.
I have the Texans, because that's the only way the Texans can win this game. If it's 31-27, Patriots won, like straight up. So I'm picking the Texans to win this game 16-13.
Another thing, too, just to throw in there, I think obviously Justin Herbert is a far more talented quarterback than CJ Stroud is. And that kind of works to the favor of the Patriots game as well, because that defense really, I mean, I know the offensive line of the Chargers is absolutely abysmal. The offensive line of the Texans isn't great either, and they were getting absolutely just de-pantsed by the Steelers defense. I think again, I'm rolling. I mean, I know I'm picking the quarterback and the head coach as my edge here, but this Patriots defense can go out there and
they're good, dude.
Take this game too, bro.
Especially when you're, like you said, you're playing against a quarterback who clearly lacks the confidence. He's got all the talent in the world.
I'm not gonna lie, and to put a bow on this game,
yeah.
Like CJ Stroud, the way he walked off the field in Pittsburgh, was like, y'all mad, y'all salty. Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I don't know if anybody in the chat saw that, bro. Like him going off the field, like he did something was fucking hilarious.
Dude, he should have carried. He should have carried his team's helmets and jock straps to the airplane.
Bro, he is really starting to annoy me. Like his stick is really starting to die.
I couldn't agree more. Remember the whole Caleb Williams thing when he was telling Kelly, giving him advice, like, bruh.
Yeah, and revisionist.
Yeah, look at that now.
Look at Caleb. It's like, bro, you're already in his shadow.
God, Lord, yeah, distant shadow. I mean, he might be in the shadow. He's like so far away, he didn't reach the shadow.
He's cringy, bro. Like, he was walking on the field like barking at Steelers fans like he did something. Like, bro, your ass was saved all day. Like you were doing everything to lose. Like it felt intentional.
So you and I we've only agreed on one game so far. It was the Bills-Broncos game.
Yeah.
The final game of the division round weekend is the Rams going to the Bears. So
exciting.
This is to me going to be the most fun game.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds crazy also because the fact this could be really cold.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like in the teens, I think, in this game. And we know that the Rams obviously coming from the LA side of things. That usually doesn't bode well for them. So this is going to be fun, dude, because I think the Rams are the better team going into the matchup, even though they're the lower seed. I think they are the better team with the better quarterback, better coach, and that's no disrespect to Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams.
Definitely better defense.
But McVay and Stafford, I think, are more proven entities, seeing they've won a Super Bowl together.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this matchup? How do you see this one going, man?
Oh, this is definitely the most fun game for sure. I think weather be damned, I think this could be an absolute shootout. I think this could be fireworks. There's also a scenario where I think the Rams just absolutely just demolish the Bears. I know that sounds crazy because the Bears have been the team that there's no quit in them, and that's true. But even like the weather thing, I don't buy into it that much, to be honest. Because like I was talking about earlier today at the gym, like we've seen this Rams team go to Philly in that the Snow Bowl. It was one of like ridiculously amounts of snow, and there was a play or two that separated that, who won that game.
Yep.
Right, and that was Philly. That was when Philly was fucking on fire. Right, tough team to beat. So I just think I don't ever count Stafford out in any kind of like environments like that. Honestly, I think he's played in so many different games. Granted, he's played a lot of games in domes. I get it. But the guy's been around. He's a consummate pro. He's a Hall of Fame guy. So like I think Puka is going to be up for this game. I think Devontae is going to be up for this game. Devontae's played plenty of games in that stadium. Won plenty of games in that stadium. Played a lot of cold. I think Devontae is going to be the X factor in this game for sure because of that experience in those kinds of stadiums and him being able to play in that kind of terrain. So his body's going to be ready for it. Older guy.
My body's going to be ready for it.
Yeah, bro. So I think the Rams win this one handedly. I think the Rams are going to go out there and put a performance because they had bad taste in their mouths against that Panthers game. They had two. They obviously lost the game against the Panthers in the regular season. Had a close one again with them, and that matchups make fights. I think this is where the Ben Johnson hype stops for this season. I think they have a bright future, just like I feel about the Jags. I think the Jags and the Bears are two teams to really look forward to as far as their trajectory, where they're going to go with their teams, their head coaches. Exciting stuff for both those franchises moving forward. But I think this Rams team is destined to go to the Super Bowl this year. I really do. I think they're the better team all the way around. I don't think there's anywhere. Maybe outside. I think the running game for the Bears is a little bit better, but even then, it's not by much.
I honestly would say it's a wash, to be honest. Yeah.
So Blake Corum's a dog. They got good running backs too. But I just think the Rams are better pretty much at every aspect on position wise, everything, coaching too. I think this game will be some high scoring, but I think the Rams win this game by at least 10 points. I think Stafford is going to ball out, bro. I don't care about the weather. I think this offense is going to go put up points. I'm not big on that Bears defense. I still think they're pretty fraudulent. I think they can definitely be had. Their corners. I think Stafford could go light these corners up, dude. I really do. I think Puka could have a day. My X factor is Devontae. I think he gets a touchdown here. I think McVay gets up on this game because I think he knows the kind of offensive mind that Ben Johnson is, and he knows he's going to have to go put up points against this team because this team just does not quit, and Caleb's going to chuck it no matter what. So I think he knows he's got to go put up points. I think the Rams put up 35 plus.
Wow,
and win this game by 10.
I like that, man. Look, for the record, you and I do agree on the outcome of who wins.
Yeah.
But I see this game going a little bit differently and how it's paced. I think it's going to be a fun game, but I think it's going to be a fun ending more than anything. And it's going to be ironic because usually the Bears benefit off the exciting finish. Mm-hmm. But see, the Rams are going to do this differently than the Packers did. See, what the Packers fucked up on, because they had that game won.
Sure.
Dude, it was 6.5 minutes to go. They're up multiple scores. Yep. What did they do wrong? Well, they stopped running the damn ball. I understand Josh Jacobs is banged up and all that shit, but your focus has got to be to kill the clock. And I think what's going to happen in this game is that McVay is going to do everything that his former colleague, Matt LaFleur, didn't do. Yeah. And that is rely on a little bit more on the run game. I think that Stafford's going to have a fine game. I think he's going to have like 255, 260 pass yards, couple tutties. I do think Puka and Devontae are going to make situational plays. But I think because the field's going to be real rough and tough, it's going to be so cold, I think that ironically the West Coast team's going to use that to their advantage because what they're going to force is Caleb Williams have to make big plays early in the game because he's going to be limited on possessions. I think what the Rams are going to do is say, hey, Blake Corum, hey, Kyron Williams, are you both ready for 20 rushes? I think they're going to really try to run the ball as much as they can in this game. They're going to run the ball probably 35 times. I'm not kidding. I think it's going to be a run-heavy game to limit the possessions of the Bears, to make them have to make big plays early and often, and force their defense to not get fatigued in that treacherous cold. Because everyone's talking about how Matt Stafford's not going to play well in the cold because he's had bad, historically been bad in the cold. So they're going to use that against the Bears' advantage or against the Bears by anticipating they're going to try to prove a point with Stafford being really big in this game. I think that actually the Rams run game is going to dictate the outcome of this one. But I think that this game is going to be tied in the fourth quarter, 21-21, right? And what's going to happen is the Bears are going to have a chance to take the lead late, and it's Cairo Santos is going to miss a field goal. And then the Rams are going to get the ball down or tied still, and they're going to get the game-winning field goal, walk-off field goal, 24-21. That's how I see it going.
I mean, that definitely sounds likely. It's not going to be windy, though, right? So it's just going to be cold.
It's Chicago, though. That's kind of always windy, isn't it?
I mean, it depends. I know it's the windy city.
Yeah.
And two, to the Stafford record in cold games, his win-loss record isn't great.
5-8, I think, isn't it?
But it's not like his numbers are bad.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's lost some games over his career. And
he could very well go off.
His numbers have been good, though. Like, it's not like he has, like, terrible numbers.
Because to your point, in the Eagles game last year, he was phenomenal.
That's what I'm saying.
He was phenomenal in that game.
Out. So I just, now they got Devontae this time around. A guy that's like the perfect experienced guy to have in this situation against this team in this stadium. It's like, Devontae's balled in this stadium so many times, right? So,
but I'm giving the Bears a little bit of respect here because, like I said, they're the home team. They've gotten the playoff win now under their belt, and it was a very exciting divisional game.
Be honest, though.
Yeah. The Packers blew it.
They had one good quarter last week.
Yes.
Their offense was terrible.
Yes.
Objectively bad for 3 whole quarters.
Yes.
And now you're facing a better defense. I know they're at home. I get it. But, that Packers defense was shutting them down. I don't think this Rams defense is going to give it. And I know it was a weird thing because Bryce Young balled out last week against the Rams.
It's so weird.
It's just a matchup thing.
Yes.
He had 2 passing and a rushing touchdown. I don't know how to explain that. Sometimes football is just weird. I think that Caleb is really going to struggle against this Ram defense, dude.
Okay.
I don't think they score more than 24 points. I only
have a 21.
I think they lose 24-35.
Wow.
I just think this is a game where the Rams are just going to whip it out and just lasso them around their necks. I really do.
Dick Lasso. That's cool.
Dick Lasso. That's a sweet name. If I ever have another son, I'm going to
That's
name
a good
Dick
porn
Lasso.
name, dude. That's great. I like that.
But yeah, I think Rams, convincingly win this game, bro. I really do.
I like it. Well, Trevor and I agreed on 2, disagreed on the others. Let's see how this goes. Our guy, skin of the game, Mr. Austin Thompson said Caleb Williams throws a game-losing pick. That would suck for Caleb Williams because that would
that's his mom's in the crowd, so he can go cry in her arms.
Jesus, man.
I'm just kidding. I like Cam.
Our guy John Harris said if Rams get up 21-3 like Packers, McVay will stomp on them. Exactly. I think he's going to commit to the run game in this one. John also said Puka may get 200 on the Bears secondary. That's also very possible.
The chat is talking about Nico Collins being now. He is out. So like, how does that sway you at all?
Nope.
No.
No, because he was a non-factor. He was a non-factor in last week's game too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that
to a degree. He made a couple big plays, but
he missed like 2.5 quarters. You know what I mean? Like, he was out in the second quarter. So I'm just saying, like, in all respect to Nico, he's a fantastic player. But let's be real, bro. He's always hurt. He's always hurt. He's T. Higgins. Always got something going on, dude. So I think this Texans team is as well adjusted to injuries as any team out there outside of the Niners. Because look at it. C.J. Stroud missed, 3 or 4 games with a concussion, and they went 3-0. You know what I mean? Like, this team just finds ways to win ugly and continues to let their defense kind of steer I know that's old school way of going, but it works. It's working. As long as your defense is winning games, I'm gonna bet on that team, dude. So yeah, dude, I agree. Like, from the naked eye or from the on paper, you're like, man, Nico's out like that, but Christian Kirk balled out. You know what I mean? Like, he had a big week. Would it shock you if he had another one?
I just think if one team has to make a play or two to win the game, I think it would be Drake May against that defense rather than C.J. Stroud against that Patriots defense, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it comes down to a quarterback making 1 or 2 plays that decide the game, I'm taking Drake May and Vrabel to make that game-deciding play rather than C.J. Stroud, because I don't think people are talking about the Patriots defense enough.
And I agree with you on that.
They just did to Justin Herbert, who's a far better quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Also a bad offensive line.
I do agree. I do agree with that. If you're to ask me, hey, which one of these quarterbacks will make a game-winning play, I would agree on Drake May. But again, I'll make the point. If you're to ask me, hey, the Patriots are on their own 25-yard line with 1:15, 1:30 to go, what happens?
Yeah.
I don't hesitate. Texans stop him. That's just how I feel. Like, I am so confident in this Texans defense. I really believe, dude, that that defense can carry them to the Super Bowl. I really do believe that.
They cloned. I mean, he's a clone. They cloned Tom Brady's genes into this young man.
Yeah, well, you know what? Will Anderson's LeBron's son, so how about that?
Dude.
It's creepy, dude. That is Bronny's brother. I swear to go look at a picture next to those two guys. Will Anderson, LeBronny James. They are identical. It's creepy, dude. Anyway, that is our picks for the week, guys. You can go ahead and keep dropping yours if you like. We've already got a few predictions in the chat. The chat's been awesome tonight. We really appreciate that. So let's I don't know how many questions there really were, Trevor, tonight, but let's get to some of them.
We got a decent amount in
Good,
there.
let's go.
Micah Hayes chimed in earlier in the show. It says, who does KC resign? Cornerback Watson, safety Cook, or cornerback McDuffie?
Well, I'll go. I do vehemently believe that the Chiefs are going to trade Trent McDuffie. Our guy Tom Pike already broke it down. We've broken it down on the show several times. We don't need to go over it again. The market's just too pricey, and the Chiefs need picks. It makes too much sense. It's going to happen. Jalen Watson is a guy I am interested in signing. However, he is, I believe, going to be 28 next season. We know the Brett Veach rule. Unless you are a unicorn one-of-one player, they usually don't extend guys that are 28 or older. Jalen's also going to have a market because I think he was like the 5th or 6th ranked corner total this season. Take it for what it's worth. It's PFF. But he had a really good season. And I think the market's going to be a little high as well. Brian Cook's, I think his market right now is like $16 million a year. Brian Cook is not coming back to Kansas City. If I was to
had a good season.
He had a fantastic season. If I was to take a bet on who of those three would be back, it's going to be Jalen Watson. Because I think that they're
that would be one of the three that I would hope to be back.
And he's more of a Spags guy anyway.
Too,
right. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think any of these guys are back. But if I was to take a bet, it would be Jalen Watson.
Gotcha. Micah Hayes follows that up with Lance. I know you heard the debate on the Fan FM, KC all week if the Chiefs should trade Andy Reid. Thoughts?
I respect the question from you, Micah, because you're a longtime guy here, and I will say this, that is one of the stupidest takes I've ever heard. I know who it is.
You're all now dumber.
It was one of the producers, I think, on the morning show for 96.5 The Fan, and it's on brand because Bob Fesco usually makes the dumbest takes on that show. But this time was a hold my beer situation for, I think, Drew is his name for the producer. That is...
Never heard of her.
That is, I don't want to sound disrespectful or mean or anything, but that is such a stupid, nonsensical take. It's amazing to me. Let me just say this real quick. We'll move on. It's amazing to me that Andy Reid can have the run that he's had, and then they have one down season, and everyone is just so quick to say "fuck that dude."
Slave of the moment, man.
I started this show by saying that I am challenging Andy Reid to make some adequate changes, and I will criticize him if he doesn't. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if this dude has not changed the entire history of this franchise, because he has. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and to even suggest to trade him right now. It's hard for me to imagine a more stupid a take or opinion out there, and everybody should have the right to their opinion. But I have an opinion on the opinion. It's fucking stupid. So I'm not even Micah. You know we love you here, man. And that's why I'm addressing this question. But I heard this on air. And I just had to turn the show off. And that's considering the fact that Bob Fesco also went on to say this week that Tyreek Hill and Xavier Worthy are the same player. So take that for what it's worth.
Both Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Michael Hayes follows that up with a third question. You guys really think QB Malik Willis will be offered a starting job by teams as reports are coming out? What is the max KC should pay him in free agency?
I want you to answer this question because you're bigger on Malik Willis than I am. I like him, but I don't think he's a starter in this league.
I definitely think he could start somewhere. I mean, we've seen, guys like Tyrod Taylor start in this league, and I think he's better than Tyrod Taylor. I think he deserves a shot. I think he played really, really well in fulfillment for Jordan Love. And I think in the right system, I definitely think he could start in this league. We've seen worse quarterbacks start for sure. But I also think though there's going to be some competition. Guys like Mac Jones are going to be available.
Who?
Mac Jones. I think. It depends. I'd have to sit and think about who we could start for. Maybe he could start for the Texans. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I like him. I think he was a first round talent. He was a really good college player. Dual threat kind of guy. It depends, man. It really depends on. We've seen quarterbacks get paid, and I don't know. For me, I personally think he could start somewhere. I don't think he's going to get like some massive contract by any means. I don't think that's going to happen. I could see him being like a stopgap guy or something. He's still a young dude. I think he's only like 27.
I don't think he's that old yet.
Yeah, maybe
he got drafted in 2021.
Yeah, like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's true. So I don't know. I think he's got skill, man. But I also think he can become, a Stu Huntley, a perennial backup, a good, trustworthy backup that brings a different dynamic to a team that maybe has primarily pocket passer, maybe gets hurt, similar to the Packer situation. You know what I mean? So that it works out having that kind of backup. You can have a whole different game script type of preparation for your backup quarterback if need be. He could get re-signed by the Packers too. Who knows? I don't know. I know LaFleur likes him. Who knows? I'm not like super like embedded in this take, but I do think Malik Willis will get some. And there's like our guy Micah said, there's been a lot of rumblings about that.
Yeah, and I would take him as a backup here in Kansas City.
The Vikings could be a team to take a chance on him too.
Yeah,
if McCarthy is working out.
Yeah,
you never know.
Honestly, to keep the trend rolling, maybe they. I don't know what the contract situation is with Snoop Huntley, but maybe the Ravens want to bring Malik.
But I think the Vikings would, because I don't know how sold they are on McCarthy, bro.
No, but I just does Malik fit the scheme?
They could pay Malik to come over there because they're not paying McCarthy shit yet.
Does Malik fit that scheme though?
But dude, we've seen guys like Dobbs go in there and ball out.
Yeah,
Remember they had Dobbs come off the bench as their third.
Yeah, he was more of a traditional quarterback though.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But I don't know. KOC it seems like one of those guys who's kind of a whisperer.
What about Washington? Just having him as a backup to Jaden Daniels. Because Mariota's probably moving on.
I'm just thinking of places he could have a good chance to start.
Well, Jaden Daniels gets hurt. Yeah. Maybe Malik gets that opportunity if Jaden goes down again. Because he is an undersized quarterback that's already had his.
I think if we're talking about her quarterbacks, I think Cincinnati might be the best spot for him.
If you're talking about injuries, that's for sure.
You're looking to start at week 3, buddy.
What I mean? And he, like I said, he fits the Ravens style because Lamar's going to be there. Yeah. Maybe if Lamar gets hurt again, Malik would be a guy.
For me, man, I think every time he's been given a chance, I think he's a freak athlete. I think he's a smart quarterback. I think I think he is good. I do think he is good, man. But then again, like I said, Mac Jones is going to be floating around out there. I think a lot of teams are going to be chiming in, to get him. I think he's going to make some money too. So we'll see.
Yep.
That's enough about Malik. Good Lord. All chiefed up in the chat.
Yo.
Who do y'all want if you could handpick the new OC?
Well, it's a couple guys. First off the board is Cliff Kingsbury. I think just based on the relationship, the continuity he has with Patrick Mahomes, it's a seamless fit. And also the fact that he could be the coach in waiting. I know that he didn't have a great time in Arizona, but I think that had more to do with the fact that he had Wee Man as his quarterback.
Right.
So I think if you gave him an aging Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback, if and when Andy Reid was to relinquish that to Cliff, I think it would go much better that time around. And also having an offensive-minded head coach always sounds much more attractive
to me. For being
honest,
those Arizona offenses were pretty fun.
Yes, they were.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he revitalized DeAndre Hopkins' career.
His specialty was still shown as a head coach.
Right. So I think Cliff is the top of the list for, like I said, their goal is to get a guy that could also be the head coach in waiting. Mike McDaniel wouldn't be a guy that I'd probably want as the head coach here in Kansas City, but because of the fact that he brings that Shanahan-esque run scheme to an offense that I think could really utilize that in a hybrid version of it, Mike McDaniel is the second guy that comes off the board. A third guy is somebody I've already mentioned on the show as well, Brian Dable. I think he's more likely going to be a head coach this next year. I think he's going to probably get another opportunity, probably with like Tennessee or a place like that. But Brian Dable knows offense. He saved Josh Allen's career. I think he'd be an asset to this offense. He's already worked with the Chiefs before Andy Reid took over. So he would make a lot of sense. And Shieldhouse is a guy that is gaining a lot of traction. He's probably going to be a head coach, even though he's not even an OC yet. But he's a young whiz kid. I like that guy a lot too. So those are just some names out there. Who do you got, Trevor?
Cliff is the guy I want.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody else I want. I like the take that he could become the guy, and he's still a young guy. He could definitely take over for Andy when the time comes. The built-in camaraderie and trust between him and Pat. It's the perfect storm.
Yeah.
It just makes the most sense to me. He's not like a domineering type of guy where he has to take over. He's already been it. He's gone back from being a head coach, getting paid big money, to going back to being an OC. So we know he is not like too egotistic to not take that on. And look what he did in Washington, man. Look what Mariota had several starts this year because of Jaden Daniels going down. Mariota had some big games this year. He got the best out of Debo. Debo had a really good year. I trust him. I like his style. He's kind of a no BS guy too. I like him. I like his personality. I just think he would be a good kind of like bring some machismo, but in a good way, and a bright mind in the offense. We know he has a good track record already. And then I just think obviously the connection with Pat is the biggest thing. I think, built-in trust immediately. Talking about bringing back familiarity. How about bringing back some familiarity for Pat instead of for Andy Reid and him having that familiarity with his guy? Maybe pandering to your QB a little bit here. That's what I would like personally.
Be nice.
So the only answer for me is Cliff. I like that. The only one I
stick with one. I like it.
If we don't get him, for me, honestly, it's all. I don't think Mike McDaniels is even in the picture in this.
No, I think he's gonna be a head coach again.
I do too.
Yeah.
I just don't see him as much as I would love his mind in this offense to see what he could do with
his interviews would be so fucking great, dude.
For sure. But I just don't think he's a fit though.
Yeah.
My personal
opinion. You're probably
I just
right.
don't. I think Cliff though could walk in and.
Cliff is definitely a fit.
I think Casey would love Cliff.
Yes.
I really, really do.
And you would agree that he'd probably be that guy that would be the next head coach.
I would be all about that, bro.
Yeah.
Because I do think he's a good head coach.
I agree too. Yeah.
So that's kind of it for me.
Yep.
Michael Maldonado. Hey, Lance, you think if Andy doesn't get his shit together in 2026 or 2027, could be that uncomfortable decision in the Chiefs front office about his coaching and age?
Yes, I do think if they have back-to-back porous seasons,
yeah, we can't waste 2 more years.
You're talking about, then it becomes a real conversation. Like I was saying at the beginning of the show, is that that's why Andy has to start making some different decisions than he has over the last few years. That when it did work and it justified it, is the fact that then you're talking about a fan base really turning on you to the point where it becomes a Mike Tomlin type situation or a John Harbaugh type situation, a Bill Belichick type situation. When you were once this, legend that everybody revered, and then you start having these strings of seasons of just absolutely disappointing football, whether it's a bad record or you lose early in the playoffs, earlier than you should, that starts when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes that's won the way he has, and it's not working anymore. Then you start to turn on that coach. The things change quick in this league, man. And as much as I still very much stand behind Andy Reid right now, if he doesn't make real changes this offseason and then we have a season similar to this year, I am going to start turning on Andy Reid. Just for the record here, I'm not loyal to him to that point where I'm like,
loyal to the Chiefs.
Yes, I'm loyal to this team being what they should be, which is a Super Bowl contending team. I'm not saying they got to win the Super Bowl every year, but you got to be contending for them. And that's the standard they've set. That's the standard Andy Reid has set. So this is on him to keep that going. And with that, there has to be adequate change that he may not want to make, Change he may not feel is necessary, but change that does need to happen. And I think that this offseason is going to really determine the rest of Andy Reid's career in Kansas City. And he's under contract till 2029, guys. So he's got a long runway still, even though he is older. I do expect him to fulfill that contract. But if he doesn't get his shit together this offseason and he strings along a couple losing seasons or seasons that are disappointing, he might not reach 2029.
Which I do not expect.
No, I don't either. I do expect Andy Reid to get back to,
For sure.
The Chiefs are not far off, man. I think they will get back to their winning ways.
Agreed. Julia Gulia.
Yeah.
So what percentage does our 3-time Super Bowl winning QB have in this decision with the OC hire? I think
That's a good question.
Morton's let on.
And that's why I played that video today.
That's why I said pandering to your quarterback.
Yes.
Getting a guy like Cliff makes a lot of sense.
And this is why, guys, I'm telling you, this offseason, as shitty as this season was, this could be a blessing in disguise for a multitude of reasons. Like I said, you get the blue chip prospect in the draft in the top 10, but also the fact that now you know how much Patrick Mahomes has been carrying this team. Like, now it's been proven with his injury and how, he got hurt, and then you see the after effects of him being gone and how fucking terrible this team was. That, to me, is what's going to force the Chiefs to change some of their mentality and how they roster build. And that starts with the staff. So I understand. I'm not somebody who dogs Matt Nagy because, again, guys, it's been Andy Reid who's been running the offense, and I will say that till the day I die. That is the point I'm making, is that now Andy Reid has to see, okay, I can still be the overseer. I can still be the man. I can still be the guy that everyone comes to.
Yeah.
Yes, you obviously are the one that's the final say. But it's time for me in my late 60s to hand over play calling duties to a man who's 20, 30 years younger than me, that's got some new ideas, that could use my scheme, but tinker it a little bit, give some fresh thought and fresh viewpoints on it.
How do you think Andy Reid got his chance?
Right. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's at that point now, man. There's chapters in everyone's lives. There's chapters in your career. You're not going to do the same thing for 25 years. You're going to have to adapt and adjust. And again, this is why I reference Belichick, Tomlin, and Harbaugh, is they were all the longest tenured head coaches, but they refused to change and make the necessary. Like James Harrison made a great point today on his podcast with Joe Ward when he said that look at like the reason why he doesn't view Tomlin as a Hall of Fame head coach is because Tomlin never built a tree. You cannot name a single.
Belichick too.
That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
Is Harbaugh doing it?
That's
no.
the biggest knock on
Has
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh done it?
Yeah.
How many head coaches do you know from Harbaugh's tree? Ironically, Harbaugh came from Andy Reid's. You know what I'm saying? Like, This is the point I'm making, is that Andy Reid has been able to do that. But Andy Reid needs to make the second act of that, where it's, hey, now I'm going to relinquish this. Because remember in Philadelphia, he was also the general manager.
Mm-hmm.
He relinquished that when he came to Kansas City.
I mean,
that worked out for the best.
Ideally, Andy Reid would want a passing of the torch situation rather than a regime change for the Chiefs entirely.
Right.
Bringing in a new head coach with a whole new thing. Ideally, we'd want someone who can be under his tutelage a little bit, but also taking the reins of the offensive play calling, like a Cliff fucking Kingsbury.
Right.
That is, honestly, I can't get past that. I just think that's the perfect choice.
So to answer this question, I think that Patrick's going to have a lot of say in this. Because, Andy's always been the final say. He always says, I have 51% of the vote. Yeah. That's not going to change. But what I do think is going to happen is that Patrick Mahomes has gotten himself now to a point where he has that true, clout and cachet in this franchise where he's like, look, I need to have my guy. And I guess that's why I was so emphatic on the video where Patrick says someone who will evolve. That does not describe Eric Bieniemy. Sorry, that doesn't describe Mike Kafka to me. That just doesn't. You know what that does tell me? Cliff Kingsbury. That tells me, because he's a guy, like I said, who had a sawed-off human being as his quarterback in Arizona, and then he went to the D.C. and made Jaden Daniels the fucking rookie of the year, one of the best rookie seasons ever. He gets hurt. Marcus Mariota strings together some really good games. I like to think that has to do with Kingsbury. You know why? Because Dan Quinn don't run offense. He's a defensive coach. That is credit to Cliff Kingsbury. If Andy Reid is willing to relinquish play-calling duties, the Chiefs are going to upgrade substantially at offensive coordinator, and that is only a good for this team moving forward. And Patrick Mahomes will have the seal of approval on that.
Yep. Our guy Tony Russell in the chat. What's up, fellas?
Yo.
What do you think about Nate Scheelhaas, former Rams passing specialist?
Love the kid. Dude, look, if you're in McVay's tree, you want to talk about a tree?
Yeah.
that motherfucker's got ficus for days, dude. Like McVay is 39 years old. I think he's turning 40 now, and that dude's already got a redwood tree going on. Like, it's insane, dude. Yes, for real. So Shieldhouse, from everything I'm hearing, this kid's a whiz kid, way ahead of his time. Sounds like Sean McVay, to be honest. He sounds like a dude that's going to jump right to head coaching. I don't think he's going to be able to become a coordinator. I think he's going to go right to head coaching. So don't be shocked if the Steelers take him as their head coach. I'm dead serious. The kid's in his early 30s right now, but I think he's one of those dudes that's going to be one of those, for the next 10 to 15 years, God damn, remember when he was some kid just out of nowhere? That was Sean McVay. Yeah. That was Matt LaFleur. That was Kyle Shanahan. Those guys all worked their way up and boom, became some of the best coaches in the NFL. That's what's going to happen. Yes, that's what's going to happen, dude. I think the Shieldhouse is going to be that dude.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him, but I've heard a lot of good things for sure. Julia Gulia was making ONL gain weight. Omar Norman Lott gain weight and getting him injured. The first sign of coaching problems.
I would agree that it was a bad decision on Spags' part. And I'm not saying it's all Spags, because I know that position coaches, nutritional experts, people like that had a say in all that. But Omar's entire game was based on burst and speed. He was a quicker defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman. Yeah. They had him gain 30 pounds, and I think that had everything to do with his knee blowing out, because his body just wasn't used to that kind of weight. He's not a heavier type guy. So I hope that isn't what they try to put back on him this next year when he's recovering from this ACL tear. But yes, I definitely think it was a coaching problem, and I really hope they learned from it.
Super Devil Juice. Speak it. Last season, as fans, we would have absolutely picked a left tackle with our first overall pick. Should we be asking for a starting right tackle?
Absolutely not. You don't look, especially with the situation the Chiefs have with Jalen Moore under contract and him being a legitimate starting tackle in this league. The Chiefs would have to have edge rush, cornerback, safety, running back, all that solidified before they ever go right tackle in this draft at 9. I would agree that right tackle is more important than some of those other positions, but the Chiefs aren't in dire need for tackle. Right. Josh Simmons is going to be the starting left tackle next season. Jalen Moore is going to be the starting right tackle. It isn't like there's some gaping hole it's one ass more ass still out there. It's going to be legitimate tackles on this team, and I think there's less than a 0% chance they go tackle in this draft early. In fact, I don't know if they go tackle at all in this draft. I think Esapole is going to be on this team next year. Yeah. They probably pick up another guy. Maybe Ethan Driscoll stays on the team. Who knows? I don't see tackle being at all a focus on this team for the offseason. Agreed. The only focus they'll have on tackle is getting rid of Juwan Taylor.
Yeah. Noah John Marshall, speak it. For the OC, I don't have a lot of hope. Andy shows he will bring in a subordinate. 1, any hope hire will be an heir apparent. 2, you believe what Pat said as far as wanting someone to hold them accountable.
Yeah, so the accountability thing is going to matter. I do believe that, but again, I don't think it's. I think fans and what Mahomes is. I think there's a misinterpretation, because when people think of that, they think of a hard ass, a Red Foreman type guy. That's not gonna work. Those guys don't. That's not how it goes when it comes to being an offensive coordinator. Like Trevor was talking about with Cliff Kingsbury. He doesn't have that vibe to him, and it works that way because you're talking to grown men like grown men.
But he's proven to be competent.
Yes.
That's all I care about.
The reason why people don't like Nick Sirianni is because he talks down to people. He's a dick. Yeah. That's why Eric Bieniemy has never elevated his career, because he's a dick. You can't be, especially when you're not a guy that's won Super Bowls. Belichick got away with it because he won Super Bowls. Yeah. But if you're some unproven commodity that doesn't win at a high level and you're a piece of shit, no one's going to respect you.
The thing with Sirianni, though, is it works because he's a Philly guy, and it's just it fits the mold out there.
100%. That would not work on 31 other franchises. He'd be casted out, dude, and he's probably going to get casted out of Philly anyway. But
his benefit, he has won a Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes,
and that gives him cachet
for sure.
That gives him that cachet. So
it takes a lot for fans to turn him.
So when Patrick talks about accountability, what he's talking about is somebody that's going to come in here and run things at an accountable level, like be accountable about what he owns and hopefully what the OC owns moving forward is running the offense, not being a conduit. You notice he didn't say that about Nagy because he knew that Nagy was never going to be the guy that runs the offense. It was never going to happen. So accountability kind of goes out the window. You know what I mean?
Yeah, being a hard ass tough guy isn't an attribute I'm looking for in my OC.
No,
No,
that's so overrated, dude.
Yeah,
because I mean, we go back in time. Remember the Colts game when Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes are yelling at each other. Fans didn't like that.
Right.
Were we going to sit here and pretend like we loved that?
All of a sudden?
Yeah, come on, guys. Like
it's
people,
revisionist history.
when Eric Bieniemy was leaving, I saw so many people tell me, "Good, that's good. F that guy." It's like he ruined the Bengals AFC Championship game. I remember getting those messages, dude. Like we're not going to sit here and pretend like that wasn't.
Of the correlation is causation since our numbers went down since EB left. It was a lot of things that changed after EB left.
You're gonna get me pissed off. I'm gonna start going on a rant again.
We got two more. Super Devil Juice, speak it. Be honest. Are you guys going to miss Cocky J and his human Carson Steele? Oh, they're talking about Carson Steele and his crocodile. Oh, forgot about that. No.
Super
Devil Juice.
I hate to sound like a flat tire here, but I was never a Carson Steele guy. I never believed in him.
Most I ever supported him was I didn't think he was gonna make the team, and he did. But I never thought he was gonna be like.
Yeah, and it was cool seeing the crocodile and him having Fabio hair and stuff. That was cool, but I mean, congratulate. Wish you the best in Philly, man. But I just never viewed him as a real NFL player. Still don't. And when he got his shot, he fumbled. So literally. So wish him the best. But I'm not gonna. There's not gonna be really any sentiment on that one because he never really made an impact here, to be honest.
Last question. Our guy Noah John Marshall. Speak it. Not KC topic, but are you surprised Belichick is not getting any run in these head coaching searches? Not one. I know he's under contract, but that's not a big deal anymore. Greatest coach. Somewhere to be seen.
No, he's. I've told Trevor this, and Trevor and I have had spirited conversation on this, but I stand by it. I think that Bill Belichick is the most overrated coach in NFL history. The reason why I say that is because before Brady and after Brady, he is a complete shit show. I'm not wrong about that. That's actually proven. He has a losing record without Tom Brady. Meanwhile, Andy Reid with Kevin Kolb, McNabb, Jeff Garcia, and several others has 65 wins over 500. So there's a difference when we talk about what a head coach brings. I think Belichick is an incredible defensive mind. He's also a curmudgeon. He's also an asshole. He's also somebody who doesn't like to get with the times. How do I know that? Go look at his last 3 drafts. How do I know that? He didn't draft a single Pro Bowl offensive player since Rob Gronkowski in 2011. Just to let you guys know, he coached till 2022. So that's a 12-year span. He didn't draft a single Pro Bowl offensive player. That's a problem, guys. And also, Belichick's in his mid-70s. Like, no one is going to line up to get him. There was a reason why only the Falcons were talking to him back before he signed with North Carolina, because nobody wants him.
Yeah.
He's old, he's an asshole, and he's overrated. Sorry, guys. Like, respect to the rings and all that stuff. He's a great defensive mind, but Tom Brady was the biggest reason why they were winning those Super Bowls. Like, that is the biggest reason. When you have a great quarterback, you're going to get those opportunities. It's just how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels were the duo, honestly.
Yeah, Triple G picks up, man.
Yeah. G pick. What a good. That's it for the questions.
Awesome. Those are great questions. Honestly, man, great questions. We really do appreciate those. Are insightful, man. You guys make us think. You challenge me to give you guys something else because, I might touch on it earlier in the show, but, when the questions come up, I'm always trying to give you guys a fair assessment of what I'm seeing in these things, and I appreciate the fact that you guys give a shit about what our opinions are, so that means a lot. If you guys would be so kind, I tell you at the top and I'll tell you at the bottom of the show, go to our YouTube channel, The Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, notify, share, like, all that stuff, but the most important one we want you to hit is the comment button. We want you guys to be a part of the show. It's a community-driven show. We don't want to talk at you. We talk with you. So come hang out with us. We appreciate it all the time if you guys just want to chill with us. But we know that you guys have opinions, so we value those opinions. So go ahead and drop those in our comment box as much as you guys can. We very much appreciate that. Last I checked, Trevor, I think we had 699 subscribers. We are trying to get to 700. God damn it! So get us to 700. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get to 1,000 actually, so we can monetize this bitch.
Yeah, let 2026 be our year.
Yeah, let's do that, guys. Get us 301 more subscribers, and we'll work from there. But nevertheless, we appreciate all that you guys, everyone that's already here. We appreciate you guys. You guys make the show fun. So, Trevor, this show's gone on for 3 fucking hours. We have one more segment to go to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the motherfucking world of sports. Trevor Twillo, who's holding the L for you this week?
Another 3-hour show in the books, so I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'm an idiot. No, so I picked the Packers confidently last week, man, and for almost 3 quarters and a minute, I felt extremely emboldened and confident and happy about my pick. With little over 13 minutes left in the game, the Packers were up 21-6. At the end of the game, it was 27-31. Bears. In a matter of a quarter, that my entire, me and Lance were texting during the game, like Lance was like, "Oh, Bears getting their cheeks clapped." Almost 5 minutes later in like real time, it was like, "Holy shit!" So it was, man, what a ride that was. I was honestly stoked for the Packers in my pick. It just felt like it was a wrap because the Bears weren't doing anything offensively. The Packers defense was dominant for 3 quarters, and then maybe they got tired and Caleb came alive, and it was just a bad combination of the 2 things happening simultaneously. For whatever reason, LaFleur honestly did not do a good job down the stretch, and Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams took advantage of it. Yeah, it is what it is, man. The Bears won. They took that game. It literally scored almost 30 points in the fourth quarter. So it was just I felt like an idiot, man. I really thought the Packers were going to win that one. They should have won that one, but they didn't. So Matt LaFleur somehow kept his job. Matt LaFleur, the Packers, myself, do me a solid favor and
hold this L. I don't really identify as a media member. So when I have an opinion on media, I don't feel bad about said opinion because it is coming from a place where I don't have to protect a comrade, if you will. I can say things that I know other people might be thinking, but don't want to say. The media, I've always told you guys, if anybody's followed us for any length of time, I've always been of the belief that the media is insanely and overly entitled. Sports media in particular. We can talk about other media, but that's not for the show. But in particular, in this discussion, I've talked about it, and Trevor, I get so triggered all the time, dude, when I see those bullshit off the side of the field interviews where they're asking the head coach right after a frustrating half or during a frustrating half, all these just nonsensical, softball, moronic questions that these guys just have to just give a canned response to, and it goes nowhere, and it helps nothing and no one. How many times have I said that? I'm like, bro, what the fuck was that? Why did we need to listen to that?
The coaches out of their
it's so, and it's even worse in the press conferences. They got to inbound all these same stupid. So, coach, what did you think of that loss? Does that suck? Of course, man. It's just so many nonsensical questions. So it's always a breath of fresh air to me when somebody takes that opportunity to say something, because we live in a very negative world, a very violent, hateful, negative world. So it's always refreshing when every once in a while we get something that's the opposite. Now, I didn't put the video out there, so I'm also an idiot.
Everyone's seen it.
But yes, here's the audio of a beautiful older woman named Lynn Jones after the Jaguars lose, and Liam Cohen, the head coach of the Jaguars, you can clearly see on his face that he is just distraught. He's hurting, and she decides to use her time to lift this man up by this short little clip, and this is the beautiful exchange they have.
Congratulations on your success, young man. You hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season. Thank you. You did a great job out there today. So you just hold your head up, okay? And ladies and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all right? You keep it going. We got another season, okay? I appreciate it. Take care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, man. So that is in itself just a beautiful moment. I don't give a shit what anybody says, okay? That is somebody who is choosing to use their platform and an opportunity to uplift a grown man who has spent countless hours away from his family, sacrificed so many things to be at his best for his team. You would think the world would unify over this. You would think that, oh, you know what, man? Like, that's something to rally around. You know what? Let's utilize that in my own profession to be more, good to the people around me and show them appreciation, uplifting. Because you know what? You never really know what that person's experiencing in their life. Because you know what? If you saw this video, you would know that Liam Cohen was going through it, and you see his eyes just flicker. And you see his whole countenance just change in that moment. It's like a grandma encouraging. We've all had our grandma, man, that like you're down and out and grandma comes over and everything just gets better. That's what it felt like for him, and you could just see it in his eyes. Like, man, I needed that. Like, you could just see that it lifted his spirits, and that is exactly what should have happened. But then we have dipshits like Brooke Pryor, who we all know really out here in Kansas City, when she tried to go on a witch hunt for certain players here in Kansas City as well. That went really well because she ended up getting exited out of the city. Executed, yeah.
That killed her. Somehow she's still tweeting it.
But Biscuit Jen herself decided to go out here and go on a high horse and start saying some bullshit on Twitter about it wasn't the time and place. It wasn't the time and place to do that. We're professionals and all this other bullshit. Yeah, Brooke, because, asking the same fucking question 7 times in that press conference were really done good, right? Sean Payton over here talking shit to a reporter who's trying to do his job. That's really what should be happening. Let's be assholes to each other because that's real professionalism. But I find it funny that of all people that want to talk shit, it's Brooke Pryor. Because prior to this conference, she had one with Aaron Rodgers earlier in the year talking about his marital status.
It's a wedding ring. About the ring on your left ring finger. Is that an Oura ring or anything else? That wedding ring?
Yeah, it's a wedding ring.
Congratulations.
Thank you. How long ago? It's been a couple months.
Wow, Brooke, what did that have to do with football? Why did you have to take your time and your opportunity as a reporter to ask a man about his personal life? I'd love to know, Brooke. I'd really love to know. I'd love anybody that got on their high horse this week. I'd love for even John Root, another dipshit out there that wanted to get on his high horse, was literally talking about Caleb Williams' fingernails. It's funny. You guys want to talk about the negative shit that has nothing to do with the game. That's okay. Or you want to get the gossip center going on with Aaron Rodgers' personal life that has nothing to do with your job. None of your business. But this woman, Lynn Jones, who, by the way, is not even a sports reporter, who was there to cover as a Jacksonville community member, had a singular job to go in there and to just be a person, to be an entity. You're going to take a high horse approach at her, a moral high ground approach on her, but you're going to ask some stupid ass question about Aaron Rodgers' personal life? Doesn't check out, man. Sorry, I can't do this. You media members are so fucking entitled. You guys think that you can play this purist situation. I don't even want to start with fucking Jamel Hill, who wanted to sit out here and talk about the same thing and then turn around and say, we need to respect and support a black woman in media. You literally just crucified her. You literally just used your platform to crush this woman. Now you want to turn around and play the race thing. Spare me that bullshit, Jamel. You're a fraud, too.
This is what she does.
Yeah, so for Jamel Hill and her bullshit, Biscuit Chin, Brooke Pryor, and John Root, cock motherfucker, you guys all do me a favor and hold this down. I'm sorry, I get pissed with this shit, dude.
Nah, bro.
The very little amount of positivity we get in this world, everybody wants to fucking shit on it, dude. Like, it's bullshit, bro. Like, you guys can take your pure shit and shove it up your ass. Straight up, man. This woman did a great thing. Like, that could literally set Liam Cohen in a different motion than he would have been otherwise.
It's just a reflection on themselves, man. This is how people feel about themselves, so they project it on everything else. They have to taint everything else.
Yeah. Well, if I had a KFC biscuit on my chin as well, I'd probably feel that way as well. But you know what?
Probably would.
I feel good about this, and I might have some fried chicken myself. But you know, it's been a fun show. It's been a long-ass show. We want to shout out and thank so much to Arrowhead Tom. Tom Pike's awesome dude. Go follow him at Kingdom Says Podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Arrowhead Tom. Great content, honest dude, gives you great assessment on everything draft related, especially. Man, it's been a fun show, Trevor. We really appreciate your time as well, man. So thank you for sacrificing your Friday night to do this. And thank you all for hanging out and having fun with us, because that's what we do every single week. Fuck the media. We're having fun here. This is always a blast. Except Rob Collins. He's cool as shit. But in the meantime, for Clay Windler on the back of everything, and Red Trap Center that puts us together, for Trevor Twidwell, I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 343 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we are back here in 1 week's time for episode 344, talking about AFC and NFC championship matchups, we out of this bitch.
Later.